Line and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia, Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Welcome in to another afternoon of fantastic sports talk in the Flower City. You found the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950, The Fan Rochester, and the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn apps. You can also watch our stream. We are live every afternoon from 3 until 6 on our YouTube channel and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. And Gino and I were talking earlier today, and it dawned on us that I believe we are the only actual live program on the FM dial, certainly for sports, but I think just in general, like given all that's changed in our industry's landscape here locally over the last few weeks, if you're new to the show, we should welcome you in with open arms. If you just discovered us and you're giving us a little trial period, I'd say, give us 7 to 10 days. See if we're your brand of vodka, and if not, no hard feelings. But if you want to talk sports in the Flower City and talk about the teams you care about the most, we're your place.
Yeah, and if you care about our show, all we ask is, hey, like, subscribe, tell a friend. And I take great pride that we've been doing this now for 9 years. We've been doing it on a budget of
9 times.
Oh, 0. I thought it was hilarious yesterday, and a few people pointed this out, that we got a new caller and said, hey, your call screener was very polite. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, honestly, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. If you can get to the point right away, that's it. I'm not going to ask you a bunch. But please, tell a friend. And we are the only live show in Rochester. We got to hold this title, buddy.
I imagine if something were to happen in our community. I mean, we're a sports talk station. We're to talk sports first and foremost. But if something were to happen, we're a source. We're here. We're talking about what's happening. We live here. We're from here. We've always done this way. We've never wanted to try and be what a typical sports talk show in Rochester was for many, many generations. So, again, give us a shot. You said it, Gino. Tell a friend. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on social media at The Fan Rochester. And if, after a few days you say, nah, not for me. Look, we still consider it a privilege to be able to do this here in Rochester, talk sports in the Flower City every afternoon from 3 until 6. We don't take it for granted, and we appreciate you listening.
Yeah, and a lot to talk about today. And it's a great day if you're a baseball writer.
Oh.
It's a fantastic day. That's our lead today. I want to say, look, we'll get to the news and notes of the NFL, a little bit of drama in Cleveland, certainly that's ongoing here. We'll have Elena Getzenberg talking Bills in the 4 o'clock hour from ESPN. We will talk with PJ Glasser coming up at the bottom of the hour, winners, as we'll look ahead to college and the NFL. That's the guest list for today. But, Danger, it is Major League Baseball. It is 2 teams with 2 stars that showed up last night on the biggest stage in the sport, some would argue in the country, Yankee Stadium last night, and with the Yankees down 6-1.
Yeah.
Jays made some mistakes.
Jays beat themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, they had it. They couldn't secure it, and the Yanks were opportunistic, and they get the win to force a Game 4 in their best-of-5 series tonight at Yankee Stadium, and it's a bullpen game for the Jays, so if you're a Yankee fan, you're feeling pretty good going into tonight's game because the bats woke up, and you got key contributions from Judge, from Jazz Chisholm. Look, East Coast Dad is a little groggy today because that game was running a little bit long last night. Almost midnight by the time it was all said and done.
Yeah.
It had me kind of wishing that the pitch clock was still around for the divisional series.
Yeah, and also, let's be honest, too, with that, Danger, it's all these pitching changes.
Yeah.
That's also part of this. The idea that Rodon, okay, you're out really early into that game. Bieber doesn't last long when there's just this parade of relievers is coming in, and that will slow it up too here. All that being said, that's what we're watching tonight. Yes, there's NHL tonight. Yes, there's some other things happening in sports, but to me, it's Yankees, Jays, and who doesn't want to see a Game 5 up in Toronto? Look this up. Now, if you're a Yankee fan, you're thinking, Friday, Game 5, Skydome or Rogers Center, wherever they call it. Want to take a guess what the get-in price is right now?
I can speak from experience going to a Jays game last year when they were out of it. I mean, you can find really good seats and not pay a lot of money for them.
So the answer is $130. Oof. Which, with the exchange rate,
yeah,
folks, that's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing. Like, okay, you got to go up there. But if you're a Yankee fan, you're a real Yankee fan, you're thinking about, can we take off Friday and maybe go up to Toronto for the weekend?
Not?
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, that would be fun. I got an email because I went to a Jays game last year. I got an email in my inbox today from the Blue Jays saying that ALCS tickets will be on sale later this week.
Ooh.
Is that common practice?
Ooh.
To send that out, to blast that out to former ticket buyers before you've clinched the actual ALCS?
I know whenever that happens in the NFL, that becomes a story. So, I mean, if Yankee fans pick up on that,
yeah.
I mean, have they done that for the Yankee fan base?
I don't know.
Have they done that like, hey, ALCS get tickets in the Bronx? In this day and age, you don't need to do that. Why would you do that? There's no, real box office. Everything's online.
Why would you do that if you're nervous about selling tickets to the ALCS or selling it out?
You shouldn't. You're Toronto. You're New York. It was a problem years ago in Arizona. I don't know if you remember that when Philadelphia made it to the World Series. The Phillies came in and wait a second, there's nobody in the upper deck. Bad baseball markets. I think Toronto is actually a pretty decent baseball market. How could it not? It's the fourth largest metro in North America. Yeah, that was great. Seattle can advance with a win tonight. And I almost forgot, Danger, your Cubs are playing at 5:08. So are you going to be okay? Are you going to be focused today? Because there's the Cubs facing elimination.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I can't promise you the 5 o'clock hour, but at least until they get to first pitch, I'll be okay. Once again, I'm putting out there into the cosmic universe, good karma. I'm not going to be able to watch Game 3, which could be their elimination game here at Wrigley Field, because I have another function at my daughter's school who's a junior, and this is college night, and we got to go through this process now. So, these commitments, after-hour commitments, are really eating into me cheering for my favorite baseball team, but I'm hoping that me being a good dad first and foremost, that karma goes out to the universe, and maybe the Cubbies surprise me and get a win tonight. Advance that series.
She know what she's looking for? You know how these work, right? It's kind of just people show up. Here's our info. Come visit.
You know what? I'm curious, just like she is, just to figure out what this is all about. I think we are very non-committal right now on we're just extremely curious and exploring everything. Not really going in with a plan or direction. It's her junior year. I know that this is when it starts, and we start kind of formulating a plan and getting a path. And she's got a couple of ideas and interests that she's in, things that she's into, that she's pursuing a little bit. We'll see. But that's tonight. So that is unfortunate. But I believe it'll be done in time for me to see the majority of Yanks and Jays.
Oh, yeah, you should be. Are you kidding me? The way that game went last night.
Oh, my God. I mean, look, I'm not complaining because garage beers. I'm not complaining. I mean, plenty of garage beers last night. But the game, it was so riveting, I didn't even realize what time it was when it got done. I'm like, oh, my God, it's almost midnight. What am I doing? But worth it for the Yankees to get that win. And now you wonder, okay, Can those bats stay hot? Can they stay clutch? I mean, Chisholm kind of redeemed himself, right? He was a little bit asleep defensively there early in the game, gets the homer late in the game. Judge, magnificent, waking up, making plays both with his bat and in the field. So, yeah, if you're a Yankee fan, you've got new life.
Crazy thing last night. My son goes to Alfred State. He's a sophomore, and this was their fall break, which I don't remember fall break when I was in school, but whatever. So he came home for the weekend, drove him back last night. We left. We wanted to listen to the Yankee game, which we did together, and we started driving down. I thought for sure would have been over. Like Alfred, like it's an hour and a half down the southern tier. Like I got back in the seventh inning. I got to see it at the end of it last night.
Yeah. Yeah, there's your argument for bringing back the pitch clock in the postseason. Like, oh, God, these games are running. But we'll get to P.J. Glasser's favorite plays. All 4 series in action today. It's great. And P.J. will not only share his favorite plays from the Major League Baseball postseason, the divisional series in progress, but we'll also talk college football and pro ball with P.J. Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetMGM network. And our insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
And then Elena, 4 o'clock hour for the Bills news and notes today. Today is not your typical Wednesday with the team playing on Monday night. Everything kind of quiet. So the coach is certainly working, but players get an extra day off. Maybe some players are showing up, but they're not obligated to talk to the media. In fact, the building isn't open to the media, but it's a good time to kind of catch up about some of these issues, like with the team. Like, what is the plan at corner 2? There's always been like, okay, let's try this. I think we're running out of let's try that. Like it was Dorian Strong, like what, Jamarcus Ingram at this point? What, you can't keep trotting Tre'Davious White out there.
They're going to keep trotting Tre'Davious White out there as long as he's healthy. One thing we did learn today, Gino, I don't know if you caught this or not, but we know what the Bills will be wearing on Monday night.
I'm stunned because this came across my feed last night. They had mentioned this in the offseason. It was like, oh, yeah, I forgot about this.
Hot uniform talk at the sports bar.
We're bringing back the 1960s where the standing buffalo, and you will wear the white jerseys with everything. So it's going to look sharp. This is not the first time they did this. I remember the one and only year you had T.O. This came into play. They brought this back from time to time. What was different about this? Like, wait a second. They're showing the clips of the rock pile. They're showing the first or second year at maybe that's why they're doing it as well, at the stadium now known as Highmark. Back then it was Rich. They're showing number 32 running the ball.
Juice?
I'm like, wait.
Juice?
Wait, I guess if you're dead, you're no longer canceled? Is that it?
Juice is in the highlight package?
Juice is in the highlight package.
Got it, Juice. When Chris and I broke up, the Juice was there for me every night. It's like he's not really the Juice anymore. We gotta get you dressed, Juice. Juice, a will? Juice. Come on, Juice. Juice! Juice, it's AC. Juice! AC's here! Juice, I heard Juice. It's on every channel. You know I feel the same, Juice. You're gonna tell them yourself, Juice. Juice, your whole family's here, Juice. She's on the house phone waiting to talk to you, Juice. Juice. Okay, Juice? Okay, Juice, we're good to go. You're home, Juice. You know Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice is a good man. He's never gonna stop being the Juice. It could explain a lot, Juice. Just hear him out, Juice. He's right, Juice. Listen, Juice. Juice, this is your life. Juice, please, Juice. Juice, we need an answer.
Look, if you give me the opportunity to play every instance of David Schwimmer saying the word juice, playing the role of Robert Kardashian in The People versus O.J. Simpson, I will take it. I will take it right up the middle. I will take it to the house.
That has not burned out on me. I don't know if it ever will. We're just 5 days removed from the 30-year anniversary of the acquittal.
Wow.
But now that he's gone and a lot of the main components of that trial are gone.
Well, I never thought I would. I thought when we retired the clip, it would stay retired. But every time we bring up Juice or Juice emerges, we have to acknowledge the Juice. He's never going to stop being the Juice.
It's because we lost all respect for the guy, so that's why even in the afterlife we're still going to play. Like if John Sterling, when he's no longer with us,
we won't play the breaking news sounder. Yes, when news breaks in the sports bar.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
We play John Sterling getting plunked. The ball game.
That was courtesy of Jack and Avon, where we were talking one day, we got to come up something really good for our breaking news.
Yeah.
Now that you're listening to the show and you hear John Sterling getting plunked, you know.
11 years, speaking of anniversaries, 11 years that the Bagulas have owned the Buffalo Bills. today. Are we? What are you doing to celebrate the 11-year anniversary of the Pagulas owning the Buffalo Bills?
I think today is the day the ink was dried. From what I recall, it was actually the home opener where it got approved and then officially, so the relief was in September, but everything became official now. I still say it's a dichotomy, meaning, hey, people will say, great ownership with the Buffalo Bills. Look, you hired smart people and you let them do your job. And we have another team in West New York that actually is professional. And they open the season tomorrow night. And we haven't talked 1 minute. You know why we haven't talked 1 minute if you're new to the show? We only talk about what you want to care about.
Yeah. And the Sabres are...
The Sabres are the opposite.
Yeah.
They are a joke.
I don't know if they're sending out a tweet on social media celebrating the anniversary of when they took over the Sabres, because they would just be opening themselves up to a shower of criticism, just a deluge of sell the team. I mean, at what point this season are we hearing sell the team chants at KeyBank? Are we saying 5 games in, 10 games in? Or, and we have to see this to believe it, obviously, do they start off hot? They got to start off hot. If they don't start off hot, I mean, the little interest that there is on this around this team is, the flame just gets dimmer and dimmer and dimmer with each passing loss.
It used to, I mean, it's crazy to sound like you go back 11 years, they were much closer in relevance. Like the Bills are always number one, but more people cared about the Sabres. This is what losing does to you, that we just can't talk about it too long. Do we want a new owner for the Sabres? That's always a tricky one, because what's the new owner's intentions? What is it the devil you know versus the devil you don't? Terry Pegula is never going to move the team. Can say that. You really can't do that. And you have the 5-year agreement, which that was kind of weird too, that we talk about the Friday afternoon news dump. That was like a Friday evening into Saturday morning when that story came out, a couple weekends ago. Like, wait a second, they extended the lease by 5 years. 5 years is nothing. That's a blink of the eye. So, okay, where are we going with this? Part of me in the back of my mind always thinks that this team could be had for the right price.
It's funny to think, I'm going to pivot a little bit here. Funny to think about where the Bills are 11 years since the Pagulas bought the team versus where the Patriots were then, and specifically their coach versus where he is now. When we get word today, a report out of North Carolina, that Bill Belichick, there's potentially an exit strategy that's being discussed at the school. But conversations doesn't mean he's going to be fired, but conversations are starting to happen. There's been potential rule violations with the NCAA. Of course, the record isn't there. The result isn't there. And I think that there's probably a goal to either eliminate or minimize the buyout for the Belichick contract. But what a stain. If you want to talk about stains on his legacy, you could talk about the years post-Brady in New England. You could talk about off-field with Jordan Hudson. You could talk about the way this season has started. But if you don't even make it through the season...
Right. So you and I are too young to even know what Willie Mays was all about, right? But from everything I gathered, top 5 baseball player of all time who just didn't understand when to exit stage right. And because he had this name, the joke was by the time he's playing with the Mets in the early 70s, he's literally tripping over himself in center field. And there's really some lowlights. And like, wait a second, you're one of the greatest of all time. And why are you even out there doing this to yourself? This surpasses that, does it not? Danger, you always said I will give you credit on this. When the Patriots were doing all this stuff, you were, nope, Bill Walsh is the greatest of all time, and you would point to the legacy of Walsh, and you would point to the guys that he trained and that had success in this league. You gave bullet points, but I would say, it's a different era. This era, Belichick has kind of done it, and okay, there's no more argument here. Bill Walsh is the greatest of all time. Tom Brady was the main reason. Bill Belichick didn't know when to exit stage right. If he wants to go and play around with his 23-year-old, as our guy in Massachusetts, Fitzy calls it, his child bride, go ahead. Knock your socks off.
Yeah.
Like it's like a modern-day Lolita that's happening. That's part of the equation, too. But when you go into college, there's a different element. You've got to, if you're new to the show here, you got to kiss ass.
You're a politician, yeah.
You have to you have to collect checks.
Yeah.
Belichick is the most impersonal coach of all time. So who thought this was a good idea that he would go to college and this would all work?
I didn't think it was going to work, but I didn't think it was going to go this badly. It's gone really, really badly. And the idea that, it's October 8th and they're scheduled to come to Syracuse Halloween. Is Bill Belichick actually on the sidelines for that team on Halloween when North Carolina comes to play the Orange?
So I'm not familiar with the World Series schedule. Okay.
Yeah.
But let's say the Yankees aren't playing on the 31st or whoever. We're all putting that Syracuse North Carolina game on for many reasons. One of which we're like, what are the students going to dress up as? How is that going to go? Halloween in Syracuse.
Sure.
Fantastic. And look, the Orange aren't anything special. Now, their quarterback got hurt, certainly, but they're not North Carolina. North Carolina, we said this, they're not going to win another game this year. They're off this week.
And they're working on an exit strategy. They're working on how they can lower the buyout or eliminate the buyout. They're trying to find things that would violate his contract so they don't have to pay the buyout. And they've got some reported violations within the staff there.
So they're off this week. They are actually next Friday at Cal. If there's a program you should beat in the ACC, which is weird, I have Cal in the ACC. It's that
Cal,
program. Yeah. Cal, danger. That was a program where the president put out a trial balloon to shut it down. If you lose to Cal, does Bill Belichick make it after that?
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to be on the sideline Halloween. We were looking forward to that. I don't know that he's going to make it. I don't know he's going to make it to the end of the month as the coach in North Carolina. Interesting to see just how far he has fallen. And I just think when you have the debate about the greatest coaches of all time in the NFL, I'm sure you could run that debate through a lot of different filters. And with Belichick, I'm not going to say that his defenses weren't worthy of him being considered as the greatest defensive coach of all time, because his defenses were nasty those first few Super Bowls with New England. Nasty.
Oh, what he did against the Bills in Super Bowl 25.
Nasty.
Like honestly, two down linemen.
So, great defensive-minded head coach, but just overall legacy, and I know he's got the rings, but overall legacy, when you look at the impact of the game from Bill Walsh and his coaching tree, it still affects the game that we watch today. And Walsh has been gone a long, long time, but when you watch a Niners game and you see Kyle Shanahan run the offense that he runs, or LaFleur in Green, this is all an offshoot. Andy Reid, certainly all an offshoot of Bill Walsh and that West Coast offense that he ran with such great success in San Francisco. And that coaching tree is elaborate, and there's a lot of branches, and they're still today impacting the game that we love. I don't know how anybody else tops what Bill Walsh meant to the NFL in his role as a head coach. I don't think there's anybody that's even in the conversation.
So we need Belichick to actually win at Cal so we can continue to watch this train wreck?
If you want him in Syracuse for Halloween, you need him to win.
We need a win.
We need a win for Bill Belichick. If you want to see him fail miserably and continue to flame out, then I would say a loss would they're probably licking their chops. Like, all right, they got the pitchforks out already, and all they need is another good reason to pull the trigger on getting this guy out of there.
See, it's wrong, right, to root for people to fail? Like, from a karma standpoint.
I don't like seeing anybody losing their job. I don't like seeing anybody losing their job. But, with Bill Belichick, it's like,
you did this to yourself.
Kind of, yeah. You kind of did this to yourself. PJ Glasser is the host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network. We'll get his favorite plays tonight's action in Major League Baseball, college football this weekend, and of course, Week 6 in the NFL. You can pull up a stool and join us anytime this afternoon on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line. Welcome back, Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub at 866-4FAN, award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub at 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
update.
Baseball scoreboard, there is no score in Detroit. Seattle and Detroit win for the Mariners, and they will advance to the ALCS. Yankees and Blue Jays playing Game 4 tonight in the Bronx. We also have the Brewers and Dodgers. They could both advance with wins tonight over the Cubs and Phillies, respectively. Phillies first baseman Bryce Harper says teams facing elimination is very simple.
Got to go 1-0 each day. Got to go 1-0. I've seen it multiple times in multiple series and multiple sports. It happened. Obviously, that's a great team over there, and they're going to do everything they can in their power to win and win at home. But we just got to go 1-0 and have some fun tonight. Smile, laugh, enjoy the moment.
Sabres opening the 2025-2026 season tomorrow night at home against the Rangers. We'll have that game for you. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
No shortage of action. If you're a baseball fan, a football fan, we're going to get into all of it and get you some winners with our buddy, PJ Glasser. He is the host of Send It In on the BetMGM Network and our Odyssey Sports Betting Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Before we talk about this weekend's football action, PJ, 4 games in the divisional series of Major League Baseball happening all today and tonight, and I got to get your takes on all of them. I mean, I've been kind of like riding your coattails on the take that you had last week that the winner of the Yankees-Red Sox series was going to represent the AL in the World Series, and I was feeling a little skittish until last night when the Yankees had their comeback, staged their comeback against the Blue Jays. So how are you leaning? How are you feeling about all 4 of these series, PJ?
Yeah, Danger, like you. I mean, with the way that, that Red Sox-Yankees series went, going 3 games, the Yankees were able to win that final game. I still felt good going to the Blue Jays series, and to watch how they just pummeled New York the first 2 games and then got off to a 6-1 lead yesterday. But it did feel like just the way that game turned, and they dropped the fly ball out in left field, and then Judge hits the 3-run homer, and it's just, even if the Yankees win today, the Blue Jays do go home for a Game 5, but it does feel like a lot of pressure is going to be on them being at home. They had a 2-0 lead. So this is a massive game tonight for the Blue Jays. You do not want to push it back to Toronto for a decisive 5th game. I do think the Yankees will able to win tonight, though, and I like the under. Schlittler pitched great in the game against Boston. I think he's going to be really good again tonight. It's been an over series so far, so I think tonight's going to be a lower scoring game. So I like the under, and I think the Yankees force a Game 5.
We love SEC football because there's just really no time off, right? So weeks off. So Alabama, hey, that's a great win over an undefeated Vanderbilt team. You move up in the polls there to number 8, but now you get another undefeated team in Missouri. PJ, I have no read on this. You are an Alabama grad. I'm looking at Alabama favored by 3.5 points. How do you play this one?
Yeah, on the surface, it does seem a little fishy, right? I mean, Bama's had the 2 nice wins back-to-back over Georgia and Vandy. It's a tricky spot for the Tide, right? Because of those 2 games. Tennessee at home next week, another rivalry game at night. And here you are, you go to Columbia, and the top Mizzou's off a bye week. And guys, this is the 6th straight team that Bama has played to start the season that's undefeated, right? I mean, all the teams they've played up to this point hasn't lost. So you speak to the strength of the SEC, Gene, the schedule. There's a lot of things that Missouri does well that Bama struggles against. They have a great pass defense, and Bama obviously is a great passing offense. Bama struggles to stop the run. Mizzou's got a terrific running game and a great running back in Ahmad Hardy. So I understand why people like Missouri, why people are picking the outright upset. I just kind of feel like Bama's going to win the game. Now, whether they're going to cover the 3.5 is a different story, but I think my favorite play would just be to take Bama on the money line. I think it's going to be close, but I do think they find a way to win it in the end.
In the Big Ten, PJ, you've got Oregon and Indiana. And Indiana, I don't know that you get a cookie for blowing the doors off of Illinois the way they did a couple of weeks ago. But if you want to be considered or taken seriously in conference, sure, a win against Oregon would do the trick. Which way are you leaning here between the Hoosiers and the Ducks?
Leaning Oregon. If we get a 7, right now it's 7.5, guys. If we get a 7, I'll be laying it with the Ducks. As of right now, I think Oregon's a really nice money line parlay piece. But, you know, Indiana, since Cignetti's been there, they've only lost 2 games, and they lost to the 2 teams that played for the national title last year, Notre Dame and Ohio State, and they're playing one on Saturday that could be in the national title this year. So this is what Indiana's been. They beat the teams that they're supposed to beat. If they're more talented, they usually win the game. But when they go up against, you know, the cream of the crop in the college football, that's when they tend to struggle because they don't quite have the beef up front on both sides of the ball, and they just don't have the NFL talent that the Notre Dames, the Ohio States, the Oregons do. Indiana's a well-coached team. I think they can hang around for the first half, but I just think Oregon's going to kind of wear them down. So I like the Ducks, and keep an eye. You know, if this game is close at halftime, I definitely look to bet Oregon live because I think they'll pull away in the second half.
PJ, late afternoon window on Saturday, my favorite tongue twister in sports, the Red River Rivalry. Red River Rivalry. Say that 5 times fast. I would screw it up. Oklahoma and Texas. We almost forget, like, Texas week 1, they were favored at Ohio State. Here they are out of the poll altogether, but their season's not over. And, you know, quite honestly, from everything you see and read, their defense is still pretty good. Are you feeling comfortable enough, though, for Texas to lay the 3.5? How do you play this?
So it's interesting, guys, because we got a report yesterday that there's a chance John Mateer, Oklahoma's quarterback, could play in this game. I kind of think it's just gamesmanship. You know, I don't think there's really any need to rush him back. Yes, you would love to win this game. You'd love to beat your rival. You'd love to stay undefeated. But you don't want to rush him back and have him re-injure himself or be out, you know, long-term and have to miss the season. So I would be pretty surprised if Mateer is playing. And this line now being close to Texas in a pick'em, they're minus 120 on the money line, tells me that, I mean, odds makers, you know, people think that Mateer does have a shot to play, and I think it's a nice price on Texas. You know, guys, when in doubt, we talk about this a lot, college football, NFL, when you have a game like this and there's a clear desperate team and a team that absolutely has to have this game, right? I mean, Oklahoma wants to win, obviously, but Texas needs to win. And when you have teams in that spot, I like backing them. So I'll take Texas in this game. Their season's on the line. They have to win. They haven't looked good against 2 really good defenses, and they're going to play another good defense in Oklahoma. But I think Sark and Texas will find a way. So I think they'll pull out a close one against the Sooners.
Another fun Big Ten matchup pits Michigan against USC. PJ, which direction are you leaning here?
So this is one of those games, guys, right? We have a ranked team in Michigan, an unranked team in USC, and USC is the favorite. I mean, historically, you back the unranked favorite. That's normally going to be pretty profitable. USC is coming off a bye. Michigan is not. We talked all the time, these Big Ten teams, right? They have to travel through multiple time zones, how much they struggle. Just look at the egg that Penn State laid against UCLA last week. So it's tough, man. Some of these coaches have talked about the travel and how tough it is. So the fact USC is well rested, they've had 2 weeks to prepare. They're at home. That's really the difference for Lincoln Riley. When he's at home, USC's been good. When he has to go on the road, he's terrible. So I like USC minus the 2.5. Their run defense against Michigan is the concern for me. But I think USC being at home, their offense will be tough to stop. I don't know if Michigan can win a shootout with USC, so I'll take the Trojans.
PJ Glasser, send it in. We'll tell you more where you can get PJ's content here after we talk about the NFL here for a little bit. PJ, the Bills don't play on Monday night. We'll leave that game for the last one. Starting off with some of the early games, we got Seattle going across the country, coming off a tough loss at home to Tampa Bay against a Jaguar team that, hey, that was really impressive, winning as a home underdog against Kansas City on Monday night. And if I know you, PJ, let's see if I can jump into your mind. And you've kind of taught us over here. Like the Jaguars, maybe this is a little bit of a letdown after such an emotional win. How do you play this? I'm looking at Seattle just getting 1 point here.
Boys, I think this might be my favorite bet of the year so far in the NFL. I love Seattle. I absolutely love them this week. Gene, you're all over it, right? A little bit of a letdown with Jacksonville. I mean, let's be honest, right? That might be the biggest win of the Trevor Lawrence era in Jacksonville. I mean, you beat the Chiefs at home in prime time on Monday night, short week. Now you got to turn around for Seattle. I still think Jacksonville's overrated. You know, they're 4-1. You got to give them credit, right? Your record, you are what your record is, as Bill Parcells would say. But I don't think Trevor Lawrence is very good, and he's facing one of the top defenses in the NFL. And we still have this, like, stigma around Seattle that they're this great home team. And under Mike McDonald, they're just not, you guys. They're 9-1 in their last 10 road games, but they're 3-9 in their last 12 home games. So they do have a great home field in terms of, like, their crowd and how tough it is, but they just do not win. And they're a much better team to back on the road and bet on the road. And I just don't know how many people, like, actually realize that. So the spot screams Jacksonville. They're on the road. I'm getting what I feel like is the better quarterback, the better coach, and the better defense, and essentially a pick 'em. I'll take that every time. Love Seattle.
PJ is the host of Send It In and Sunday Bets on the BetMGM network. You can check him out online. We'll learn more about his programming here in a little bit, where you can get more of his plays as we continue talking NFL with your team, PJ, which, man, the Ravens have had a rough couple of weeks here. I feel like maybe the Bills snatched a little bit of their soul and the Chiefs put them to bed and put them out to pasture a couple of weeks ago. What's left of the Ravens here as they've got the Rams to deal with here coming up on Sunday?
Boys, it's been a season to forget, and it's going to get only uglier on Sunday. I like the Rams team total over 27.5 points. I just don't see a world where the Rams don't get to 30. This Ravens defense, I think people realize it's bad. It's even worse than you think it is. They do nothing well. They don't rush the quarterback. They don't stop the run. They don't force turnovers. They don't tackle. They don't cover anybody. And now enter one of the best offensive teams in the NFL with one of the best play callers, a team on extended rest who played on a Thursday. The Rams just lost as a big favorite to San Francisco, so you know they won't be taking the Ravens lightly. I don't know how the Ravens get stops in this game. The Texans have one of the worst offenses in the NFL, and they just scored 44 on this defense. Now, Kyle Hamilton was back at practice today. They're hoping to get a couple guys. I really don't think it matters. Zach Orr he has no idea what he's doing as defensive coordinator. So Rams team total over 27.5. I don't see how they don't get to 30 in that game.
PJ, the Bills let the Patriots in the conversation here. Like, you had an opportunity to put them out, and that did not happen. So kind of looking at this game in New Orleans this week, a game like, okay, at the beginning of the season, we're like, now all of a sudden this means something for the Patriots. Are they mature enough to take care of business as favorites, small favorites, albeit 3.5? What do you like in this game?
So I think the big takeaway from that Sunday night game, you guys, is that, oh man, Drake May's like a superstar, like he's the next big thing in the NFL. My takeaway is that was just such a Vrabel type game, right? That was such a Vrabel spot. Like, how many times in Tennessee did we see Vrabel get his teams to just keep it competitive against the Ravens, against the Bills, against the Chiefs? Like, that's what Vrabel does. That's why he's such a good coach. They forced 3 turnovers. I mean, you guys probably know, right? When's the last time? Is that the first time in like a couple of years the Bills have lost a turnover battle in a game?
25 games. And here's something that to me is mind-blowing. That's the first time they lost a fumble since the primetime game in Baltimore last year.
My God. Okay, right?
Yeah.
So you got all right. So that's my big takeaway is Drake made into anything special. Did he make some great plays? Did he play pretty well? Sure. But it's not like he was Superman. And I just think that was a Vrabel game. That was just one of those where the Bills lost it. I mean, they're a team that doesn't turn the ball over. They did that. So now, like you said, the Patriots, can they handle success? Biggest win of Drake May's career. You go on the road against one of the worst teams in the NFL. And, guys, the Saints are kind of getting the same game they got this past week, right? They got the Giants off a big upset, and the Giants turned the ball over 5 times against them. So how are the Patriots going to handle success? I mean, Drake May, that was only his 4th win as a starting quarterback in the NFL. He, to me, is starting to feel like very Justin Herbert-ish, you know, where he's going to be this guy where people fall in love with the highlights and the accolades and the potential. But it's like, does he win? Do you trust him week after week? And I do not trust the Patriots this week. The Saints have been a feisty team. They've played just about everybody tough outside of Seattle. So I'll take New Orleans once again, plus 3.5.
Sunday night, we get a great matchup. The Chiefs hosting the Lions. The Lions look like one of the best teams in the league right now. They're on fire. The Chiefs still licking their wounds and below 500 and off of that loss on Monday night. Okay, PJ, tell us which way you're leaning on this one.
So a lot of people, guys, when they ask me about my job and they ask me about sports betting, they say, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give to somebody who wants to get into betting? And I always tell them, separate your sports knowledge from your gambling knowledge, okay? It's great to be knowledgeable about sports, and it's great to be knowledgeable about the NFL. But this game right here is the perfect indicator of, what I try to tell people where – again, the Lions look like the best team in the NFL. They've been absolutely steamrolling people. They're not missing a beat. It doesn't look like they're missing Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn at all. And now here they are going up against Kansas City, who's on a short week. They just lost at home to the Jags. Guys, the look-ahead line in this game was 1.5. It actually moved up off the Chiefs losing and the Lions covering. It moved up to 2.5. I've been on Twitter the last couple days, and everybody keeps asking, why are the Lions underdogs in this game? How can the Chiefs not only be favorites, but be 2.5-point favorites? Just remember, the odds makers know a lot more than any one of us. So they know the Chiefs. This is, they can drop to 2 and 4 if they lose this game. They're at home in prime time. I think they're going to win, and I think they're going to cover. So I like Kansas City minus 2.5.
So, second time in our conversation, I brought up the Bills in Baltimore last year, because what did the Bills do right after that? Same week 5, week 6, going to week 6, they lost at Houston. All right, so now the Bills is not an AFC team, but it is a team that, all right, I don't know. They're teams that I don't know, what are they all about? Are the Falcons this contender? Are they the team that lost 38-0 to Carolina? I guess we're very concerned about the Bills' run defense going up against the Falcons. Bills minus the 4.5, under over set at 50. PJ, what say you?
It's an interesting game, guys. I mean, second straight primetime game for the Bills. Gene, you mentioned the concern going against Bijan and that running offense. They're off of a bye week as well. Now, can they cover the 4.5? Can Atlanta cover the 4.5? For sure. Do I think they win the game? I don't. I don't trust Raheem Morris, to be honest with you guys, because I do think this game ends up being close, but I just don't trust him or his team to make the right decisions and beat Josh Allen. So I think Atlanta's a really good teaser leg this week, plus 10.5, because I do think it is a close game. But would I pick them to win outright, or would I pick them plus the 4.5? Probably not. So I think Bills moneyline parlay, Atlanta teaser. I do think this ends up being a one-possession game, but whether the Bills win by 3 or the Bills win by 7, I think it's going to be one of those type games. It has moved up from 3.5 to 4.5, so I think if you like Atlanta, this is probably your buy point. I think it moves back down to 4 before it moves up to 5. But it's an interesting game, like you guys said, because we really just don't know what Atlanta's like, right? We saw them go into Minnesota and look dominant, and then we saw them turn around and lose to the Panthers by 30. So, I mean, this team is just like they are up and down and all over the place. I really don't have a strong feel other than either teasing them up or taking the Bills on the money line.
PJ, let everybody know about Send It In and all the work you're doing over there at the BetMGM network and how we can get more of your content and more winners.
Yeah, guys, every weekday, Monday through Friday, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, people can check out Send It In on the BetMGM network. Our show streams live on X, on Twitch, on YouTube, and it's interactive. There's no commercial breaks. It's 30 minutes. We run through all the sports. So people listen and they want to chime in with questions or bets that they have. We love that and we encourage it. So, check us out 1 p.m. Eastern every Monday through Friday.
PJ, you're the best. Let's do this again next Wednesday. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks, fellas.
There's PJ Glasser. Check him out on the BetMGM network. Send It In, his show weekday afternoons. The host of Send It In, the Odyssey Sports Betting Insider and Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Check out all the latest lines today. Get yourself a winner on the BetMGM app.
I do like the point about Raheem Morris. Like, if you're Sean McDermott, The Bills should find a way in this game. For the things that we see as flaws as this team, they're 4-1.
Yeah.
You have the MVP.
Yeah.
Atlanta's defense, okay, there are some pieces there, but you should be able to move the ball.
I mean, if you're like me and you look at matchups and you try to run everything through the filter of who has the better coach and who has the better quarterback, then the Bills should win the majority of their games, right? Like you have the best quarterback, so that gives you an advantage in every matchup. It's the coach that's still the question mark. And I think in this instance, Sean McDermott is a better coach than Raheem Morris. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. You could make the argument last week that Mike Vrabel is on the same footing as Sean McDermott as a head coach. Level ground. Like it's comparable. But in this matchup, no. Better quarterback goes to the Bills. Better coach goes to the Bills. I think the Falcons are going to be a problem because of their playmakers. But ultimately, I can't see the Bills losing this game on Monday night.
No, I think that the Falcons will move the ball. But can they do it in the red zone? Is Penix good enough to make the right decisions? I see this as one of those games where they're going to move it between the 35 and down to the 20, and can the Bills punch it in? Like, get 7s instead of 3s.
We'll talk more Bills-Falcons with Elena Getzenberg, ESPN NFL Nation Buffalo Bills reporter who's stopping by the sports bar right around 4:25, 4:30 this afternoon. We have plenty of time for your calls at 866-4FAN if you want to join us on the other side, 866-4326. A couple more notes from the NFL that we didn't get to, including Cleveland, always stirring up some drama. I mean, what's Shador going to do now? A pantomime last week. What's he going to go full-blown Gallagher and bring out some props if he gets interviewed this week? What's happening in Cleveland?
Yeah, and another storyline, and no one cares when you were right. But when we were exploring, where this Mark Sanchez story may go, it's going to a place, Danger, where you kind of predicted on Monday where it would.
We'll get to that and more next. Again, your calls are always welcome at 866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Odyssey has sports for
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
They go to the fourth in Detroit. Seattle holding on to a 1-0 lead against the Tigers. A win for the Mariners, and they'll advance to the ALCS. Tonight in the Bronx, it's also game 4. Yankees and Jays. Cam Schlittler going for New York. It's a bullpen game for Toronto. Yankees need a win to stay alive. Brewers and Dodgers can both advance tonight with wins. Dodgers hosting the Phillies. 5 o'clock hour for the Cubs and Brewers. Jamison Talion taking the bump for the Cubbies.
You can't look too far ahead. So how that pertains to me is just doing my job, going out there and setting the tone, preparing the right way, taking notes, watching video, going about my process the right way, and making sure I'm buttoned up and ready to go. And obviously, being a starting pitcher, hopefully I can do my job and set the tone and see where that can take us.
It is hockey season. Sabres open tomorrow night against the Rangers. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
We're back in the sports bar. Glad you're with us. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, and the free-to-download Odyssey app on your smart device. When you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan, we're even streaming live on our YouTube channel and on Twitch. You can follow us and subscribe at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
Ooh, wait a second. We have a quarterback facing a team for a second time this year. Joe Flacco beat the Green Bay Packers. Are we nervous, Danger? Woo! They've actually named him the starter in Cincinnati.
Zach Taylor, his quote, "We'll start Joe Flacco versus the Packers this week." We now go to Mike Danger for his quote, "I'll be starting Green Bay's defense in fantasy versus Joe Flacco this week." I don't have any faith in Joe Flacco. I mean, it was nice that the defense of Cleveland stumped the Packers and beat them in Cleveland. But at home, at Lambeau, Joe Flacco and the Bengals, that Bengals defense, come on. No, we are still moving forward 100% confident in our survivor pick, Gino. It is the Green Bay Packers over the Cincinnati Bengals.
I like how you said we. It's actually you.
No, it's we. You're much like I ride your coattails, now you got to ride mine for a little bit.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. Don't get cute on this.
No.
That is the clear and obvious choice. We don't even look ahead to Week 7.
No, couldn't tell you anything about Week 7. Only Week 6. Only looking at those matchups. But staying with the theme of Joe Flacco in the wake of Joe Flacco in Cleveland, is there a reason why Kevin Stefanski won't name a backup quarterback to Dylan Gabriel? Well, because his answers are they're not defiant. They're cryptic. They're not clear. There's no reason to not name a backup, except he just keeps throwing out there, with development and doing what's best for the team and the players on the team. And is it Shedeur? Is it not Shedeur? If it's not Shedeur, who cares? Can we just get on with our lives? What are we doing here?
Well, if it's not Shedeur and they promote Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would that surprise you? It wouldn't surprise me. Bailey Zappi's started games in the NFL. He has experience as a starter in the NFL. He's at this stage of his career, and for what the Browns are, he's probably a better backup today to Dylan Gabriel than Shedeur is.
So at what point does Shedeur Coach Prime was asked about this. Now, he's got his own health issues and everything, and basically in so many words, he said, I don't give a damn. Right. I care about my son, but Joe Flacco getting traded, it doesn't, I have no opinion on that.
Right.
Which we're expecting Dion being a dad to, campaign for his son. It's an underreported story. How did the draft community, how did the public whiff on this one so bad that this guy was going to go number 2 overall and go into the 5th round? I don't think we spend enough time talking about that. What led into that? How could people be so wrong? And coming out of it, hey, I'm pulling for Shedeur. I want him to say, all right, yeah, I'll show you. And we haven't seen that. And maybe a glimpse of it was last week when, okay, Dylan Gabriel's going to get the start, and Shedeur does this pantomime thing. Like, okay, that's pretty
a
mature.
tell. I think that's a tell, right? Like, what we saw to Shedeur in the preseason wasn't necessarily bad. I mean, he looked like he could play. And there's a lot that goes with being QB1. And I think the biggest part of that is you're the face of the franchise now. We're going to have to manage you, not just on the field, but off the field. And that includes what you say to the media, how you present to the media, what messages you're putting out to the media. You better have your cliches down. You better know not to throw anybody under the bus. And Shedeur's actions last week kind of paint a picture of a guy that's still immature, that doesn't have that part of the game down. And that is part of the game. It's not on the field, but it is part of the game, especially if you want what Shedeur wants. If you want to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, that's part of it. Stefanski not giving that answer today just tells me what we all think. It's just Shedeur's not mature enough yet. And maybe by the end of the week, they say Shedeur's our backup, and that's fine. You can live with that and hope that you plug your nose and hold your breath and hope that nothing happens to Dylan Gabriel, that you don't have to thrust, because that's a big decision. If you're going to say Shedeur is replacing Dylan Gabriel at some point, which could very well happen, whether it's through injury or something else, you're not just saying yes to the player. You're saying yes to the circus that comes with the player.
Well, I want to explore the something else portion of this. Like, normally a rookie quarterback, you're going to give lots of rope. In a season like this for the Browns, you could say, hey, we've got a defense that's good. Sure you do. You're not going to go anywhere, all right? Unless maybe you get something out of your rookie quarterback. But it's more likely that you're going to face plant a few times. And this should be one of those weeks that you face plant. You just went across the pond. Most teams would take the bye, but stupid you said no. And now you got to face the Steelers, who have just been...
We're not, by the way, we're not off on that, right? Like, we know, like, teams have the option. They can decline the bye coming back from the international game, right? They are in charge of that portion of the schedule, knowing that it's a haul to get to overseas, to get to Europe. If you choose, it's up to you to take the bye after that or to take your bye at your regular time.
Correct. And so the Bills actually went that route. Do you remember they went over to Jacksonville, lost that game where Milano gets hurt, Daquan Jones gets hurt, just an ugly game to Jacksonville. And they've got to play the Giants on Sunday Night Football. They should have lost that game.
That was tight.
That was like, okay, jet lag is a real thing.
Yeah.
You didn't take the Giants. Brian Dable losing his mind to Tyrod.
I remember, yeah.
You should have lost to Tyrod. That was just the Bills have had some ugly wins, and that's right up there. I think that should have just been an example of, hey, it's nice to have your bye in November. Everybody would like that. But if you're going across the pond, make sure, okay, you get your bye the following week.
And by the way, the Steelers did just that. They went to Ireland.
Yeah.
They took their bye last week.
So
they're fresh and ready to host the Browns, who will be starting Dylan Gabriel for the second consecutive week.
This looks too easy, right? Like, it should be the Steelers at home. Yes, it's a divisional game, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, what are we talking about if the Steelers lose that game?
Second. I just said this looks too easy. It's the Steelers, right? They play down to whatever.
Kind of their MO. Yeah. But it's still fishy nonetheless that when asked about a backup to Dylan Gabriel, Stefanski won't give a firm answer. And I don't know if Shedeur gets asked by the media this week, is he bringing out a watermelon and a sledgehammer? Is he going full-blown Gallagher, Carrot Top? Is he doing props for his routine? He did pantomime last week. What's next?
It's very simple, and maybe this is like the Sean McDermott kind of culture. You shouldn't have somebody that's not involved in the game plan talking to the media at all.
You didn't need to talk to the media.
No.
Yeah.
No, don't talk to the media. You just kind of walk on by, and it's a good life lesson, right? I remember you were at camp. I'm not going to say what this was about, but getting an email that, quite honestly, I thought it was very poor form. And, okay, I want to you know what? I'm not going to respond. I'm going to wait a couple days on this and let kind of emotions kind of calm down, and then everything's kind of fine. So, like, maybe that's a coaching thing. Like, hey, we're going to go with Dylan. You're still in the plans. But when the reporters come talk to you, you know what? Just you don't need to deal with them. Don't deal with them. We believe in you.
We're
still.
telling you not to deal with them.
So did any coach, did Stefanski, did his position coach, did that ever happen?
Think about that. Maybe that was why the pantomime routine happened. Is he was told not to talk to reporters, but they came to him. He didn't technically talk to reporters, even though he made a bigger spectacle out of it. Maybe that's why Stefanski is a little hesitant, because Shedeur took him a little too literally. Hey, we don't want you talking to reporters. Oh, coach, I didn't talk to reporters. Yeah, but you made a bigger scene out of it than you needed to. You drew more attention to yourself than you needed to. Therefore, Bailey Zappi will be our backup. I don't know that that's going to happen, but maybe that's the connection there. Maybe that's why. There's certainly an immaturity around Shedeur Sanders that if he ever wants to be considered a franchise quarterback, a starting quarterback, a QB1 in this league, it's more than just what you can do on the field. You have to be able to present yourself off the field as well.
Danger, there's another story in the NFL, but I'll just kind of draw it to an analogy that we all can kind of relate to. And it doesn't happen as much in business anymore as it used to, but travel for work. And the little secret for travel with work is if you get a little expense report, and you can go out and have a few pops. You don't have to worry about putting the kids down. It's nice to have that little bit of freedom, especially if you like your coworkers or whatever city you're kind of traveling to. I would imagine that everybody at Fox today is not too happy, much less every other network, because there's one guy that didn't know how to behave when using an expense report and being on the road. This storyline from Mark Sanchez, it's not going to go away anytime soon, and you called this. So the storyline, just to kind of recap the story in 10 seconds, Mark Sanchez obviously did something very bad. We hope that this man, this delivery truck driver, recovers. But in the interim, the representation for the delivery truck driver has sued Sanchez, and they sued Fox. Mm-hmm. You called it. Mike Florio today, who is a lawyer, said, yeah, Fox could very well be liable here.
Yeah, because he's there because of Fox. He's not in Indianapolis for his own thing. He's there for Fox.
This is where the disconnect, help me to understand. He's on his own time. Why would the employer be responsible after hours? Like, is it because he's coming into another town? Because if this happened, say, where's Sanchez living now? Los Angeles? This happened at home for him, wherever he calls that. Fox wouldn't be liable for it.
Right.
So this only happens because the road show coming in.
Yep. And also, and we talked about this a little bit, I think, yesterday. You know, Fox didn't make a lot of comments about this because maybe Fox knew that Sanchez has a problem. And as an employer, you can't mandate you go get help. Fox can't say to Sanchez, we know you're sick. You need to go get help. The employee has to be the one to say, I'm sick. I need help. I need time.
Okay.
Can I get that time?
That's fair. But the employer could say, all right, maybe there's a problem. You know what? We're going to cut back on your schedule.
Sure.
And Brady Quinn ended up doing the job. Brady Quinn gets this assignment. You don't. And you have to leave it up to yourself while you're figuring out you're not getting these assignments.
Right. No, I mean, you can absolutely, it's within Fox's right to say, hey, here's what happened. Here's what the expectation is moving forward. And if this behavior continues, you're gone. That's the proper kind of protocol for eliminating somebody. And what Sanchez did should be enough for Fox to just cut bait, but they haven't done any of that because they're partially to blame for this, and they're going to let everything, all the dust settle. I mean, Sanchez is done. He's not. Hold on a second. I've got breaking news here.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but this is pertinent to what we're talking about. The Cleveland Browns have just signed Mark Sanchez to a 5-year, $250 million deal. Wow, the Cleveland Browns. That maybe that's why Stefanski didn't give. I'm sorry, Gino. I couldn't help myself.
I don't. Right, the Deshaun Watson horror story is happening in December. I just hope for Browns fans that he's not healthy. He stays on IR. Maybe he gets fat. Maybe he's just enjoying his time off and he's not in shape. Like, screw you, I'm still hammering checks.
Rolls up
Yeah.
and he's just eating biscuits.
Or we would want to see that, like fat Deshaun Watson on the field.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Browns fans. I can't help myself. But I saw that what would the Browns look for in a quarterback? Oh, he's done some horrific things. Let's go ahead and sign him to a very lucrative deal to back up Dylan Gabriel.
I will say this: Browns fans are incredibly grounded. I'm out with Billy Kidd on Sundays at the B at the Tap Room in Webster, and they have a big Browns following. Every one of them like, oh yeah, we're gonna lose today. Oh yeah, this go like you're just so defeated. Like to hang with a team like that. Why would you do that to yourself? Why?
We did it for how many years as Bills fans?
I guess. But what is it about football that we can't let it go?
I know it's crazy. We're addicted. We have our own problems, right? And I feel like I have this conversation with casual fans or people who are upset that Bad Bunny is doing the Super Bowl halftime show, and I have to remind them, like, no, you don't understand. The NFL is a business. And they're a brand that is trying to compete on a global scale with brands like Apple and Google and Tesla. And they're going to do that and be successful at it. So in order to do that, they don't need to cater to you or I, Gino, the guys that are watching every week, no matter what. They've got to expand and they've got to grow into markets that don't know about the NFL.
But this is nothing new. That's like when this Bad Bunny story came up and some people got upset. Like, okay, how's this different than last year or the year before that? I mean, what was the year? Was it the year 2008 that Tom Petty did halftime? Like you're not getting U2 out there. I'm sorry, those days are over. Like they're going to be artists that we want to kind of showcase around the world what our product is all about. That's the only growth area for the NFL.
Are we going to be upset when it's a K-pop artist out there, like the biggest K-pop superstar is out there?
It's going to happen.
Because I guarantee you they want to target Asia as a growth market. If they can get into Asia and Asians start watching the NFL, are you kidding me? They wish they had what the NBA has.
Like in Japan, right? Baseball is king.
Baseball is king.
How
in
do you
Japan.
not cut into that if you're like, yeah?
Right. So the NFL is a business, and they will continue to do business the way they do it. And speaking of businesses, yes, to bring it back around to Sanchez and Fox, not surprised that Fox is part of it. And this is also kind of like where we are as a society. Like this guy was doing nothing wrong, had this horrible thing happen to him, and now he is going to get his. And he's going to get his from everybody that's involved. Everybody, including the employer of Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine what his bills are going to be like. I mean, his family putting out that photo.
Ugh.
And but should we feel any compassion? Like what? Let's take Sanchez at face value. He didn't know what he was doing that night. What did he take? What was he on? What happened?
We may never know.
Are we going to feel sympathy for Mark Sanchez?
I mean, if he's sick, I hope he gets help. But the way it looks right now, he's going to probably have to get the help while he's behind bars. Just a weird and sad story. And for all the fun that we make of Sanchez from the butt fumble and all this stuff, like, he's doing all right for himself as a color guy in the booth. He wasn't bad at his job, but we don't know what the man is outside of what we see on the Sunday.
He was the last guy to start a playoff game for the Jets.
Wow.
That's
stings.
like if you're a Jet fan, it's like,
stings.
wow, this is how long it has been. That's why, like, if we bitch about the Bills, hey, they're 4-1. What are they going to do at corner? They can't stop the run. Separation of wide receiver. These are small issues compared to other teams.
First world problems. Elena Getzenberg dives into some of those first world problems with us next. She covers the Buffalo Bills for ESPN. We'll get her take on the loss from Sunday night, the Keon Coleman discipline, what the Bills might do at corner 2. And I know the topic that got Gino fired up yesterday, the addition of Balin Spector to the Bills practice squad. Just Gene rubbing his eyes like, what a headache this is. Elena Getzenberg breaks it all down for us next on The Fan.
To the ALCS. Yankees and Jays playing game 4 tonight. Cam Schlittler going for New York. It's a bullpen game for Toronto. Yankees need a win to keep their season alive. Brewers and Dodgers can both advance with wins tonight. Dodgers hosting the Phillies. Bryce Harper says, well, his team facing elimination, it's simple.
Got to go 1-0. Each day, got to go 1-0. I've seen it multiple times in multiple series and multiple sports. It happen. Obviously, that's a great team over there, and they're going to do everything they can in their power to win and win at home. But we just got to go 1-0 and have some fun tonight, smile, laugh, enjoy the moment.
5 o'clock hour for the Cubs and Brewers, a win for Milwaukee, and they'll advance to the NLCS. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
They're young. They've got edge rushers that are talented, that are putting it all together. Really good linebacker in Ellis. They've got some young pieces in their secondary. Watts out of Notre Dame's a ball hawk. It's a defense that has played better at times, but still is not the strength of the football team. But this feels like it could be a high-scoring football game.
There's ESPN's NFL analyst Dan Orlovsky on the Bills' opponent, the Atlanta defense, coming up here on Monday night from the ATL as we're tracking down Elena Getzenberg, also of ESPN, covering the Buffalo Bills for ESPN NFL Nation, to get that Week 6 preview. Elena, thanks for making time for us here in the Sports Bar. Always appreciate having you on with us and getting your insight. You're so close to the team, and when we saw them drop their first of the season on Sunday night, and it didn't come without some controversy around it. Specifically, I wanted to start with you on the Keon Coleman situation, knowing that he was kind of benched for the first series, disciplined by Sean McDermott. Did we get any insight as to what may have caused that, what may have happened to that, and is McDermott just, simply using that as a motivation? It seems like when he does that to try and motivate Coleman, he eventually goes out there and scores a touchdown when you need him to the most.
Yeah, it's an interesting one where we've seen this before, where in his rookie season, he missed an entire quarter of that game versus the Jaguars because he was not on time. Not a lot of clarity on this one. Joe Brady did kind of allude to not being there, to maybe this being another timing issue sort of thing, but nothing quite concrete yet. We have not had the opportunity to talk to Keon Coleman, which I think you always want another side to the story, and certainly his side of this is important. But I kind of view it as like a motivation, but also a reminder to Keon that there are consequences, I think, to not doing things exactly as they would like him to, and being on time is an important thing. I think this is an interesting one where it was only a drive, right? He kind of just missed getting the start to many respects and not playing 6 plays. So it's kind of snowballed into maybe a bigger thing than it really is. He did not miss much time at all, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on moving forward with Ken Keon. It's very important to remember, 22 years old. So I think his development and where he goes moving forward is what's going to be worth paying the most attention to.
Elena, I'm not going to argue, or I don't think any of us should argue, if Sean McDermott says the number one reason why they lost to the Patriots, the takeaway giveaway, turning the ball over 3 times. That all led to the Patriots coming out with a close win. My question is about the personnel, and we're close to it. You're close to it too, but what is the level of concern at some different positions here? I guess we'll start at corner too, where look, Steph Diggs, I guess he still has it, but where do the Bills go from here with Maxwell Harrison still not available, Dorian Strong on IR? You have Tre'Davious White, and then what? Your thoughts on the corner position right now in Buffalo?
Yeah, I actually think Dorian Strong's neck injury, which had caused him to go on IR, was a huge, huge hit. In the sense that we saw in the game against the Saints that they were so much so wanting to see what he has to offer that they wanted to roll him in for a couple series, which Sean McDermott really doesn't like doing, taking guys in and out, but that's how much they wanted to see him. And he played well. They said that he was playing well. And I think, Tre'Davious White, it is not a secret. This was not the first game he's had issues this season where he's looked a little slower, a little, showing his age a bit, showing him coming off 2 injuries. So this is not the first time we've seen that, and I think it is a concern. I think that's a real issue for this team. I think Christian Benford didn't have a great second half, and it's one of those you kind of throw away, and he's doing well besides that. But I think Tre'Davious White is a concern right now, and not having Dorian Strong to me was a huge hit because they were excited about how he was developing. And then when it comes to Maxwell Harrison, I just don't. So I think they need help at cornerback. To me, even if he is ready to go out there and help, which he's not at this, even if he returns to practice tomorrow, he's not ready to go out and play meaningful starting snaps in an NFL football game. He had missed almost all of training camp. He has so much work to do. So to me, he's not the answer to this very real problem. And I think what happens with Tre'Davious White moving forward is going to be important for this defense.
Elena, it was another thing when we saw Diggs against the Bills and have the success that he had on Sunday night. And I don't know that we're having this conversation because we just saw Diggs do what he did to the Bills secondary, but do the Bills wide receivers have a separation issue? Is that something that the offense should be concerned with?
It's a great question. I think the Bills have a wide receiver issue more than a specific. Yes, you would like to see the Bills wide receivers get more separation. It's clear that there were many times against the Patriots that Josh did not have anyone to throw to, that there was nowhere to put the ball, which then leads to interception because he's forcing it. It leads to him scrambling even more than he would like to. So to me, we're kind of, and I thought this coming into the season, it was the Bills didn't, wasn't Brandon Beane's favorite topic of conversation, but I thought they didn't do enough at wide receivers this offseason. I thought they needed to do a little bit more than they did. And I think we're kind of where we were last year where they had to go and trade for Amari Cooper. We're the wide receivers are good and, Keon's still developing and Josh Palmer's solid, but is it enough for this offense to take that next step and for Josh to have the options that he needs? I'm really not sure. And it was one game where this offense has scored 30-plus points every other game this season. So I also caution the overreaction part of it. But I think their wide receivers are kind of where they are, and you would like to see more from them.
Elena Getzenberg covers the Buffalo Bills for ESPN.com. And Elena, this team's 4-1. I feel like we're doing the airing of grievances, but there are there are some issues here. Let me throw another one just to get your insight here, because James Cook has been wonderful this year. He's been worth the money. I'm a little concerned about Ray Davis. Granted, he hasn't gotten a workload for good reason because James Cook is doing his stuff, but when he has, it doesn't look right. Do the Bills have a Ray Davis problem right now?
I don't know if I go as far to say it's a problem because I think exactly what you were saying, they can put James Cook out there a lot based on what he's showing. There should be no hesitation at all on Joe Brady's part, Sean McDermott's part to give James Cook considerable snaps. He has really impressed me so far this year. You would like to see more from Ray Davis than he is showing. Absolutely. I think it's been very limited snaps, and I think that's important to keep in mind. But there hasn't been a lot that makes you think, man, he should be getting the ball a lot more. But I don't know if it's a problem. I think they've got Ty Johnson, who they obviously feel very strongly about. And Ray Davis can still be a solid backup running back and not, I think it's lower on their list of concerns. You would like to see more from Ray Davis, and I'll be interested to see moving forward how much he's getting the ball or how much more maybe they're leaning on James Cook. So that's kind of where I am with it. I don't think it's a concern right now. I think it's something that we're having way more of a conversation if James Cook is injured, then it becomes a problem.
Elena, I thought we were close to Ed Oliver returning. We saw him return to practice last week, and he didn't get the start. He didn't suit up on Sunday. I know we won't see him on the practice field until tomorrow, but bringing up Oliver with the Bills' third in the league, if I'm not mistaken, in pass rush win rate. So they're winning at the line of scrimmage, yet it feels like, and this kind of goes to our theme of we just want a little bit more. Feels like Rousseau had a decent game against the Patriots, but Bosa's been largely invisible the last 4 games without Oliver out there. What do you expect here with the Bills on their defensive front in terms of getting after the quarterback as we look ahead to Monday night and Michael Penix?
Yeah, I think Joey Bosa's shown some flashes where, I think there were a couple times against the Patriots where, he got to the quarterback and then needed to finish. And that's when they, Drake May had, as we all saw, a fantastic game where he was able to scramble away, and you'd like to see them close on those plays. I think obviously getting Ed Oliver, would be fantastic back for the Stephens. They need that. I think a healthy TJ Sanders would be good for the Stephens. They just have had injuries in that interior that have felt there's been consequences to these injuries. So I think it's in an okay place. I think, like you said, Greg Rousseau had a pretty good game, especially that first chunk there. But it's not, I think it's an area where, yes, they're having success, but it's always something where, we're having the same conversation every year, which has got to be frustrating from a fan's perspective, that the pass rush just is not getting to that point. It's not consistent. They're not getting sacks consistently. They're not able to affect the quarterback game after game. And so overall, I think it's been a years-long issue where the pass rush just isn't where you'd want it to be. So with Ed Oliver back, we only got to see him for 1 game. Can the whole group take that next step? That's something I'm looking for.
Today, not your typical Wednesday. That's why we're happy to be joined by Elena Getzenberg. Normally, you're kind of just coming out of the locker room, putting your stories together. And, tomorrow will be like a Wednesday, right? Everybody's going to go on. You get an injury update. And we already know that Matt Milano is not going to be available this week. That's not good. We don't know about Dorian Williams. Elena, where do the Bills go from here? I guess Shaq Thompson has been good. And gosh, I'm just kind of disappointed. Matt Milano, this is feeling like the end when you're getting injury here, injury there. He's meant so much to this team.
Yeah, these injuries to Matt are, very unfortunate. There's really no other word for it, because it's just a shame to see someone just deal with the number of injuries he has in this recent portion of his career. So it is good. Shaq Thompson is someone they like a lot, so he would be that next guy up. And, I thought he's played well, actually, coming off a major injury of his own, important to keep in mind. So he would be that next step. But it is something with Milano that's just Bobby Babbitt talking about him on Monday. It's just he's very close to Matt, and the personal level of it is just really unfortunate that he can just not seem to stay healthy right now for really any chunk of time. So a shame there, but I think Shaq Thompson can fill into that role. And then obviously if they've got to move guys around, how Dorian Williams is looking will be important. And then of course they've got Joe Andreessen and down the line with Jimmy Charlo, and, I brought back Balen Spector, as you said. So there's depth to an extent there, but that is a position they are hurting at without a doubt, and will be I think it's something to look at if Milano ends up being long term, but right now it didn't sound like it was going to be IR, so they're going to hope he can come back later on.
Elena, you mentioned Spector returning. That made Gino irrationally upset yesterday.
I don't know why. I just saw him at camp, and I'm like, do the Bills have kind of a blind spot when it comes to guys that were here, but then they moved off of?
To an extent, I think, but
to an extent, it's look at their practice squad, Elena. It's all guys that are kind of nobody else wants Jordan Poyer or Gabe Davis or Balen Spector, and you've got 31 other practice squads that you can pluck guys from to make active on game day if you want to. Yet they keep going back to the same recycled names, guys that they know and guys that claim to know the system.
So I understand your point there 100% from the Bills' perspective. It's the idea that we're bringing someone in who knows our defense, who knows what we do here, who we can throw on scout team. We know exactly what we're going to get from them. They aren't going to actually play meaningful snaps, that kind of thing, and then go from there. I totally get your point, though, that they keep seeing the same guys come in, and the frustration associated with that, because you want to see them look at other talent and that kind of thing. I think this is just a reminder of how they view the practice squad, whether that's right or wrong. I think that's, a tough conversation, because I do think there's a point to bringing in different bodies and that kind of thing. But then there's the bringing them in process and that kind of thing. So that's their perspective on it, is they like having guys who know the system, who they know what to expect and that kind of thing. But yes, to your point, it would be good, I think, at some point to diversify. The Jordan Poyer thing, is an interesting one. And, I think bringing in fresh bodies and, guys who haven't been around, they do that. I mean, some of their practice squad is not, guys who've been around and around. They do bring in new guys, but I understand the point that, there is a good number that they just like to go back to.
Elena, game on your network, Monday Night Football. We get the Bills in Atlanta, a team we don't see that often. Just kind of your opening thoughts on this, because I can't put my finger on the Falcons. I see there's talent, particularly Robinson carrying the ball, but it's a team that also lost to Carolina 38-0, which is kind of hard to explain. So how would you describe this matchup coming up Monday night?
I think it's going to be a tough one. I mean, they are coming off their bye week. That always is going to add a bit of a challenge if you're the team playing someone coming off of their bye. But I also think that Panthers game seems like it was weird. Maybe throw that one out the window. And I'm very interested to see how this goes against Bijan Robinson, because the Bills' defense has not been good against running backs. Really, their rush defense has just overall not been what you'd want to see. So I think they're going to have a bit of a challenge there. I think this is a game the Bills absolutely should win going into the bye, and I think they're going to be pretty annoyed coming off this loss to the Patriots. But I think it could be a fun game, and they are wearing both throwback uniforms, which this is going to add a fun wrinkle to it. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is competitive for a bit. But I do think this is the kind of game that coming off a loss, going into the bye, this is a game the Bills can and should win. And I think this is going to be a bit of a test, though, coming off the loss, how they look, especially with an extra day of preparation, right? They've got an extra day in here to get in that right mindset. So this is a game they should win against this solid Falcons team, but they'll certainly have their challenges to them as well.
Elena, what are you working on this week that we can check out at ESPN.com?
I got a whole bunch of stuff, stories up from the game and on Keon Coleman, and then working on a Sean McDermott story that will be up on Monday, and then coverage throughout the week on injuries and stuff. So we'll be back in Orchard Park, as you said, tomorrow. So we're back at it. Normal practice week starts tomorrow. So plenty of coverage from there.
See, we do this over the phone. You can't have a plate with us. Maybe we could, Uber it over, Uber Eats or something like that. I'm sure there's places in Buffalo that will serve that to you, Elena.
I don't know. We'll have to. I can't think of one, so maybe I'll have to come back to Rochester.
Love it, Elena. Enjoy the rest of your week and safe travels.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
You got it. There's Elena Getzenberg, ESPN, giving us her thoughts on the Buffalo Bills. This crossed my feed, and as soon as it crossed my feed, I got irrationally angry like you did yesterday, because I know that this is a player who, when he's on the field, is a tackling machine. He plays linebacker. The player's name is Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt was just released by the Raiders after he started his first 4 games this season with the Raiders. 25 tackles, 2 passes defended, decent performance, but released by the Raiders recently. He gets signed today on a 1-year deal with the Indianapolis Colts. I'm thinking to myself initially, okay, well, now I'm mad because the Colts are getting guys that have a track record, guys that have starts under their belt, guys that are veterans, guys that can play the position that you're signing for. And then I think about it a little bit more, and I'm like, oh, the Bills aren't the only team that does this. Why did he sign with the Colts?
Oh, I don't know his background.
Their defensive coordinator is a guy by the name of Lou Anarumo, who was with the Bengals for all those years from 2019 to 2024. That's when Pratt made hay with Anarumo as his DC. So I want to be upset about it and say, it should be be easy. Just go out there and get your guys.
I guess, Danger, what you're saying, and I'll agree with you on this. It's a football problem. It's not a Bills problem.
That's right.
Very few professions do you not hire the best candidate. For some reason in the culture of football, and I think it goes back to high school, these are my guys. And you're going to, we've heard teams say that we're the team we take to camp is the team we're going to. No, it shouldn't be like that. You should always be looking, and they'll say all the right things that we're always going to be looking. Brandon Beane will say all the right things, but ultimately you will default more often than not to the guy that I know is loyal to me and I'm loyal to him because
he's
it's
familiar.
football.
He's familiar, and we don't have to spend a lot of time onboarding this guy. I mean, imagine Jermaine Pratt coming to a new defense, not knowing anything about it or any of the pieces of it. Much like we talked about with Rasul Douglas, right? Rasul Douglas came from Green Bay. And when he was traded for the first few games, like, I didn't know the playbook. I just went out there and played. And, he played pretty well for playing as free as he was and not really knowing what he needed to be or where he needed to be. So I think there are some outliers like that Douglas case where the Bills do go and get somebody that can make them better, even though they're unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar territory for them. But throughout the NFL, these guys know who they like. They like what they know. They're going to bring the guys in that are familiar with their system, with their style. And it doesn't work like the real world where you're right. You have a job opening. I'm going to hire the best candidate. I'm going to unearth every rock to find the best candidate. But then eventually you might default to the path of least resistance, which the NFL seems to do with who they bring in.
If you think we're being negative on the Buffalo Bills, Danger, I'm just going to ask you a simple question here. Is this player on the fence performing above expectation, at expectation, or below expectation? Want to play this game?
Sure.
Christian Benford.
Below.
Taron Johnson.
Below.
Terrell Bernard.
I'm going to say at expectation. But I've always had kind of low expectations on Bernard.
Taylor Rapp.
Below.
And I don't even want to mention Tre'Davious White.
Right, but
this is the common theme. It's like this is a collective issue right
The
now.
only guy that you could say maybe is performing above expectation, we only saw for one game.
Yeah.
At Oliver. Everybody else is like, that's not fair. Daquan Jones, I guess, is probably at expectation.
I think Epineza going in, I thought he had a nice game because
he's a little above expectation.
Joey Bosa, week 2 against the Jets, sure. Joey Bosa since then, no.
Bosa's where I expected him to be. I was never excited about that when they made that signing. If you thought you were going to get Nick Bosa or you thought you were going to get Von Miller in his peak, no, you're not getting that out of Joey Bosa. Now, and the reason why I think he's out there, I really believe there's probably something in his contract, an incentive in his contract that triggers if he gets sacks, or they've made a deal where it's like you got to be out there because you want to make money with your next deal, wherever that might be, whatever team might pick you up. You got to get out there and play.
That's wrong.
I know it's wrong.
That's absolutely wrong. If there's a quid pro quo when it comes to that, because to me, look, Epinesa's not perfect, but he's the better player right now.
Right now, yeah. Younger, probably a little bit more athletic. Doesn't have the measurables, but yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
It sounds crazy, but I think a lot of this season's going to come down to the rookies. Can you get Walker and Graham taking a step forward? Graham was hurt, certainly. And then you have Hairston. I'm not going to throw away the season on Hairston. He's going to have to step up and make plays at some point. But as Elena said, you're what, minimum a month away, if that?
Gino, think about this though. What does this defense look like?
I'm sorry.
What does this defense look like after the bye? Because at that point, you get back Ogunjobi and you get back Hoyt. Right. And one of the things that's hindered you through the first 5 weeks of the season, depth on the defensive line, gets eliminated. You have two guys that can be contributors to your defensive line rotation as soon as the Panthers game at the end of the month. Maybe it looks different. Maybe that is a bigger deal than we've made through 5 games of the season. We'll see. But there's a lot of meat on the bone. There's a lot that's left to be desired when you see the defense, and to play that game is a little staggering. Everybody's kind of performing below expectation. But expectations were high. And by the way, we had the coach tell us specifically about Trey White.
Yeah.
When we asked him about Trey White at training camp, because he looked so good and everybody was a story and he was running hills on Hard Knocks and everybody was in love, we reignited our love affair with Trey White. And it was McDermott that told us, manage your expectations. He's not there. Manage your expectations. He's coming off of some severe injuries. Manage your expectations. And we're foolish. We actually thought this was going to look like Trey White, early career Trey White. Did anybody really think that was going to happen?
Yeah, 30 years old. At corner.
Remember the life cycle of a corner, and remember where he is in that life cycle.
He was brought in to be corner 4, not corner 2.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how they match up Monday night. The kickoff is a little early, 7 o'clock kickoff on Monday night. We don't have a show on Monday. We'll have Bill's pregame for you starting at 3 o'clock on Monday.
Buffalo Sabres hockey in the afternoon.
That's right.
But
yeah.
Listen anyway.
Well, Columbus Day, or is that inappropriate?
I think it's
Indigenous Peoples Day.
Right.
Okay.
But for everybody in the Italian American community, you're welcome to the sports bar.
Hey, of course you got Monday off. Good.
I didn't see DeVito in the locker room. I wanted to just go up to him Monday night, just be like, hey, buddy.
Throw a cutlet into his locker.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah. We got to take a break, come back with happy hour next in the sports bar. We have time for your calls at 866-4FAN if you want to pull up a stool. 866-4326. More next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. WBEE HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
On the Major League scoreboard, Seattle was up 3-0. Detroit has tied it 3-3. They go to the top of the sixth. Yankees and Jays play Game 4 tonight. It's Cam Schlitter, the rookie on the mound for the Yankees. It's a bullpen game for Toronto. New York needs a win to keep their season alive. Now, in just a few minutes, it's the Cubs and Brewers from Wrigley. Jameson Taillon taking the bump for the Cubbies.
You can't look too far ahead. So how that pertains to me is just doing my job, going out there and setting the tone, preparing the right way, taking notes, watching video, going about my process the right way, and making sure I'm buttoned up and ready to go. And obviously, being a starting pitcher, hopefully I can do my job and set the tone and see where that can take us.
9 p.m. hour Eastern tonight for the Dodgers and Phillies. LA can return to the NLCS with a win. Sabres opening night coming up tomorrow here on The Fan. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Welcome on into happy hour in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us, and thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. You can hear us in the free-to-download Odyssey app, also iHeartRadio. Tune in. Our stream is up and rolling. You can watch the sports bar on the Fan Rochester's YouTube channel. Like and subscribe while you're there. We're also streaming on Twitch. You can even get us on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
And are you going to be okay here in the 5 o'clock hour? Do you want me to just kind of carry this one here for you with the Cubs here starting a little bit?
No promises. I am gripping a little bit. It's an elimination situation for my Cubbies. They have not played well through 2 games. That's been well documented. But much like last week when they had a game, an elimination game, and I wanted to be there for my team, watch my team, support my team, I had an obligation. I had an obligation as a dad to go to my daughter's school. They had their mini schedule night at Mercy, and so I went through her schedule, met all of her teachers on the night that the Cubs clinched their ticket to the ALDS. Tonight, they could be punched out of the ALDS, and I also have a function at my daughter's school tonight. It's junior parent college night. And so there we go. I will be distracted later tonight, not watching, but following along where I can when it's appropriate.
You cannot tape and watch it back in this day and age.
I don't think I can. I mean, you're getting updates all the time. And here's my hope. My hope is that karma rewards my team. I'm being a good dad. I'm making the right choice. Selfishly, I would love to watch the Cubs battle against the Brewers in Game 3, but my compass isn't that far off where I'm like, better to be there for my daughter, better to be there for my kid. I'll be a good dad, and I'll follow along where I can, and I'll be home in plenty of time to watch the Yankees and the Jays.
I hope karma works in your favor when it comes to that.
It worked. It worked in Game 3 last week. It worked as they got past the Padres. I don't know that it'll work against the Brewers, but we'll see.
As far as like stories where, hey, family obligation interferes with your favorite sports team, I think the story that cannot be topped, and he still lives in the area enjoying retirement, Houseman. Steve Houseman, for many years on WBE, remember him doing sports on Channel 10, whatever. He, huge Red Sox fan. It's 1986. It's Game 6. His wife goes into labor.
Oh, yeah.
But that time karma didn't help him. Nope. Definitely not that game.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But you do your best, and you try to be as good a fan as you can, but more importantly, I think be as good a parent as you can. So good karma going towards Wrigley, and we'll see how it works against the Brewers. I don't have high hopes, man. I do not. Although Taillon has been he's been good down the stretch here, and he's got a different kind of like attitude about him. here with the Cubbies the last couple of starts that he's gotten. So
Milwaukee is the team, though, like, wait a second, why are they so good? What is it with this team? It just seems they're very advanced when it comes to pitching and fielding and doing things that you want a baseball team to do. We were saying that all year.
And when you're the Cubs and you're not hitting, it's hard to win games when you're not making contact, not hitting, their offense has been putrid through 2 games.
Blue Jays are hitting. Like Ernie Clement, Brighton's Ernie Clement, like 4 for 4 last night. Again, doing great things. Vladimir Guerrero will be, certainly the playoff MVP if the Blue Jays can go. It doesn't matter when the Yankees did what they did last night. 6-1. Danger, is that the win that's good enough? It's so devastating for Toronto. That's just going to put the Yankees over the top. You look at tonight like, okay, the Blue Jays, one thing they didn't do, you could have used an extra starter. They're going with the bullpen game tonight. They have no other choice.
Right. I don't want to say that was a kill shot. It certainly is not. The series is not over, but the Jays kind of beat themselves last night. That was a case of
2 errors.
Yeah, that was a case of you kind of beating yourself. You allowed the Yankees to get hot. And now, you know what? In a bullpen game, the Yankees could win tonight and send it back to Toronto. But through this series, it's still been the better team has still been the Blue Jays. Let's see if the bats continue to heat up for the Yankees. You saw Judge really step up both offensively and defensively last night. He was key in the Yankees' come from behind win. I mean, at 6-1, Yankee Stadium was a morgue. It was quiet.
Yeah. So Goldschmidt does go in tonight. He's going to bat behind Chisholm. Grisham, I don't know how Trent Grisham's doing what he's doing this year. 34 home runs, but regardless. Judge has his moment. I didn't ever understand why Yankee fans were so on Aaron Judge. He's batting 500 in this series. You're upset that he didn't have it? Well, he had a pretty big one last night.
Yeah, Arson Judge had a nice game. Well, I mean, maybe I would let that go if I was a nice person. But how, honestly, if you're a baseball fan, how do you not love that guy? How do you not love Aaron Judge and what he brings to the table? I mean, he just kind of goes about his business the right way. And when you need something big to happen, a lot of times he's there. I know Yankee fans were clamoring for it. You got it last night. You get the win. You stave off elimination, and you live to play another game tonight from the Bronx.
Yeah, and if you're a Yankee fan, you're a diehard Yankee fan, like with the exchange rate, you can get in for $100 game 5. Now, I guarantee that's going to go up, okay, once the Yankees, hey, we did make it. People aren't really ready to make that leap here. So I would imagine everybody's going to jump on because take off on Friday. Go up.
Right. Support your guys.
There are 4 major league teams that are within driving distance, and Toronto certainly being the closest here.
I went to a Jays game last year and got really good seats at an affordable price. Now, they weren't contending, so that makes a lot of sense. But because of that, now I'm on the Jays mailing list, and I couldn't help but notice that in my inbox today was an email from the Jays talking about ALCS tickets going on sale. And I thought, wow, I guess I don't have a lot of experience in that, but is that commonplace for a team to announce that tickets are on sale for a series that they haven't yet clinched?
I guess it is. Whenever this is done in the NFL, we make a big deal of it. I remember Cincinnati did this, and everybody was kind of up in arms, but I don't have a problem with that. If you're a Yankee fan and that upsets you, did the Yankees do this themselves? I'm just surprised you need to do that. What this day and age, hey, the game is here. Do you need that advanced lead time? Does having the money a week ahead help, the interest on that adds to your bottom line? Probably what it does, Danger, is once you sell earlier, it creates more demand, and that's really what they want here.
So we've got all 4 divisional series going on today in Major League Baseball. Lots of action on the diamond. And then the Bills get back at it tomorrow. They're back on the practice field.
Yeah, and today's one of those rare days on a Wednesday. You don't have any Bills news. They did not make a roster move. They didn't practice. They don't take the extra day of practice. That's kind of what's built into the CBA. So if the game's on a Monday, tomorrow you would consider would be your normal Wednesday. So McDermott will talk in the morning, and then you'll have Josh Allen and then everybody else talking after practice. And as far as storylines this week, what injuries are we looking at? Look, we already know Matt Milano isn't out. and then it's not. What's going on with Dorian Williams? Like, if it's Joe Andreessen and Shaq Thompson, or in some combination alongside of Terrell Bernard against this running attack that's so good, that's not good.
Shaq Thompson with a little familiarity with the opponent, at least from his time in Carolina and having to face Atlanta twice a season. Andreessen out there would be a problem for me. Love the story, love the player, but I'm sorry, Bijan Robinson's just going to run over a player like Andreessen. He doesn't have the size. And I worry about Bernard actually in that same vein. But I think Thompson out there, you can get by with Thompson out there coming up on Monday night. I think Ed Oliver unlocks a lot of keys as well, because you've got guys on that defensive line that have performed below expectation, we would say, right? And the one guy that you could say, even though it was small sample size, one game, who was above expectation, it was Ed Oliver. And they're winning at the line of scrimmage. The Bills have the third best pass rush win rate in the NFL, but it doesn't feel like it because they're not getting the guy down.
Well, and they're weeks 1 and 2, they played more mobile quarterbacks. Drake May is certainly a little bit mobile too, so that also kind of plays into it. If they didn't put Ed Oliver out there against the Patriots, he's got to be close to 100%, because the temptation here with load management and blah, 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 and knowing, hey, you don't want to re-injure yourself. You have another week on the other side, and then you have him fresh for the second half of the season. Well, essentially the second half, coming off the bye. So Ed Oliver would be a pleasant surprise to me if he's available coming up on Monday night. The linebacker situation, we talked to Elena Gatzenberg. They don't have a solution at corner 2 right now. Their solution was, and we thought this after the Saints win, all right, they just gave Dorian Strong a little bit of work here. No, they actually benched Tre'Davious White, and then Dorian Strong gets hurt. And okay, we got to go back to Trey White. So what is the plan right now? Is there anybody on the practice squad? Are you going to Jamarcus Ingram? I'm licking my chops if I'm Drake London in that passing attack for the Falcons right now.
Yeah, and Benford isn't immune from criticism either. He's been a little bit below standard, below what we expect for his season up to this point as well. So lots of questions on the defensive side of the ball for the Buffalo Bills, and we'll see how they hold up on Monday night. Now, Monday special pregame starts at 3, no sports bar, kickoff just after 7 o'clock with the doubleheader happening on ESPN and ABC. We'll also have Sabres hockey for you Monday, the Columbus Day matinee. Gino, they start their season tomorrow night.
I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Listen here on the Fan Rochester to Dan Dunleavy. Yeah. Call tomorrow night, Sabres and Rangers. See, I'm not Ben McDonald. Yeah. I'm saying listen. Please do. I'll be listening, and you should too.
Doing the right thing. Let's get back to the NFL here, where if you need a dose of comedy or drama, whatever it is, they are cinema. The Cleveland Browns just continue to be cinema. They won't officially announce who the backup quarterback is behind Dylan Gabriel. With Joe Flacco now going to Cincinnati, and by the way, Zach Taylor announcing that Joe Flacco will start for Cincinnati against the Packers this week. That was his announcement. My announcement is we're going to start Green Bay's defense in fantasy against Joe Flacco this week.
Well, the more you think about this, isn't this like a tell that they're going to promote Bailey Zappi? Like for Dylan Gabriel, let's say, hey, Gabriel is keeping his team in the game here against the Steelers. But then, there's an injury. We're going to need a backup here for a series or more, or whoever. You're going to put Shedeur Sanders in that situation? The season isn't over yet. So to me, it would seem pretty obvious. Like you're promoting Bailey Zappi. If Shedeur Sanders isn't ready at this point, okay. So just say that. Why are we going great lengths to protecting the kid?
I think that if they believe that he has the potential to be QB1 at some point, they want to put him in a position where he can be successful. And that goes beyond just what is his role on the field. Yeah, you're the field general, but off the field, you're also the face of the franchise. And you're the guy that they're getting quotes from. I'm trying to connect dots here, and I wonder if the pantomime gig from last week where he had reporters around him and he didn't really talk to reporters, he did his pantomime thing, he was told not to talk to reporters.
Right, and I liken it to, we all get that email, we all get something that, okay, maybe this is a me thing, but I sometimes, Danger, you know me, I can get a little emotional at times. You don't want to respond to that email. Give yourself a day.
Sleep on it.
Yeah, sleep on it. And when you get bad news, you don't want to lash out. And when are you getting that news that, hey, it's going to be the other guy, not you starting? It's probably Wednesday morning. It's probably still very raw at that point. If you're a competitor, you're not happy. Okay, we can all agree. There's nothing wrong with Shedeur Sanders being upset about that, but you got to be professional. You got to take the high road. And I think if you are, like you're saying, connecting dots, you're the coaching staff, you could see this. Hey, Shedeur, we still believe in you. We're going to go with Dylan, but we want you to continue to work and blah, 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 blah. If the reporters come and talk to you, just decline. Just don't talk. We don't want you to talk. And that's how the pantomime?
Maybe. I'm not saying that's why or how it happened, but maybe. Technically, he didn't talk to reporters. So in the spirit of what they wanted him to do, he followed what they told him to do, but he also drew more attention, unwanted attention to himself and the team on really what shouldn't be a story. We shouldn't be talking about who's backing up Dylan Gabriel. It shouldn't be a story.
See, when you have a young quarterback, you're going to have disastrous games, right? Josh Allen's first year. Hey, wow, they beat the Vikings. Do you remember what happened after that?
It was a bad stretch.
They got shut out at Green Bay.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, my gosh, this kid does not have it. Okay, you're all in. Is that how the Browns are going to treat Gabriel? Because you're going to have stink bombs here. It might be this week. Or they're going to – see, that's also part of the problem why you don't want to draft two rookie quarterbacks. Because, all right, if it's kind of close, shouldn't the other guy go in? It's going to be Zappi. Bailey Zappi is going to be the number 2 on that team.
I don't know. I mean, they have to make that move. And the fact that he hasn't announced it officially – like on the depth chart right now, they would have to promote Zappi from the practice squad.
Which may be the reason why they haven't announced it, because you're not promoting from the practice squad on Wednesday. You do it the day before.
Right.
On Saturday.
So we'll keep tabs on that. And by the way, yes, as we mentioned, Joe Flacco will get the start against the Packers.
That's hilarious. That is objectively hilarious that, hey, we're so bad at quarterback, you don't know the playbook, but come on in. We'll figure this out. How bad must you be? Think about it. This is a league, Danger, where you go through all this nonsense in April, May, the June mini camp, and then you go through this long, like, okay, hey, you, come on down, start. Okay, we'll have 5 days to figure this out.
Yeah, but, he beat Green Bay and Cleveland earlier this year.
So I guess he knows the personnel. Like, ooh, he's going to do that again. I'm sure everybody in Green Bay is like, ooh, Joe Flacco is going to come back and beat us again.
The big difference between him beating Green Bay in Cleveland versus him going into Lambeau and beating the Packers as a Bengal is Cleveland's defense is pretty good. The Bengals' defense is atrocious. We're confidently proceeding with our survivor pick in week 6. Gino, we're sticking with Green Bay. I haven't checked the lines yet today, but I'm guessing still over a 2-touchdown favorite against the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't know that Joe Flacco starting moves the needle that much in terms of what the line is, what the spread is there for Packers hosting the Bengals.
Got breaking news in the sports part, Danger.
All right, some breaking news.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
One of the things I love about this baseball postseason, as we saw last night in the Bronx, no lead is safe. Riley Green with a 2-run homer, and Seattle, they once led 3-0. Now they don't. 5-3 Tigers in the bottom of the 6th.
Yeah, and you want to talk about crazy. I'm a little distracted because the Cubs are in the first inning. Bases, they get the bases loaded with 1 out. And it's an infield pop-up, and they lose it in the sun, and it drops. Bases are loaded. And eventually Milwaukee scores their first run of the game. They have a 1-0 lead here in the middle of the first. But just silly, mistakes like that. Those are the kind of mistakes that the Jays made last night that cost them a 6-1 lead as well. So, teams just can't beat themselves this time of year in Major League Baseball. And Now, with the Cubs, you saw it in the top of the first, and last night with the Jays, you saw it through the middle innings there where the Yankees were able to mount their comeback and force a Game 4 tonight.
Back to the NFL, and there was one Bills note that came out last night. It was something that, I forgot about this, and maybe you forgot about it too. Maybe so much of the focus was the Bills. Hey, we're rolling out all these Nike alternates, and I think by and large, most people like that alternate look. I mean, the numbers on TV were kind of hard to pick up.
I knew they were going to complain about it. They complained about it. Tirico and Collins were like, can't see the numbers. Wish I could see who that is. Wish I knew which tight end that was for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's brutal.
You have to know, like, literally what the player looks like and how they might be running the route or whatever it is. Well, you go from that to something completely different. You went from a uniform of the future or futuristic to something of the past.
A little hot uniform talk here in the sports bar? Okay.
Yeah, they're going to the Standing Buffalo.
Oh.
And a part of this is, all right, yes, it's the last year of Highmark in this game. Isn't it Highmark? But the Falcons are also going with their throwback uniform. Here's the surprising thing, right? Because before you had the Super Bowl era, you had a pretty interesting era of Buffalo Bills football in the early 70s when the team was playing in the rock pile, and then they go over to Rich Stadium. And who was leading that team? You could say it was quarterback Joe Ferguson. I would say differently, Mike Danger. I was stunned that you had O.J. Simpson in this video. The Bills were pointing out last night.
Juice was part of this video.
You got it, Juice. When Chris and I broke up, the Juice was there for me every night. It's like he's not really the Juice anymore. We gotta get you dressed, Juice. Juice, a will? Juice. Come on, Juice. Juice, it's AC. Juice! AC's here. Juice, I heard Juice. It's on every channel. You know I feel the same, Juice. You're gonna tell them yourself, Juice. Juice, your whole family's here, Juice. She's on the house phone waiting to talk to you, Juice. Juice. Okay, Juice? Okay, Juice, we're good to go. You're home, Juice. You know Uncle Juice, and your Uncle Juice is a good man. He's never gonna stop being the Juice. It could explain a lot, Juice. Just hear him out, Juice. He's right, Juice. Listen, Juice. Juice, this is your life. Juice, please, Juice. Juice, we need an answer.
You know, if you give me an opportunity to play every instance of David Schwimmer playing the role of Robert Kardashian saying the word juice in The People versus O.J. Simpson, I will take that opportunity and I will run with it.
Is there any regret we never booked one O.J. Simpson while he was on this planet on the sports bar?
Did we have opportunities to book him?
We never.
He wasn't doing a lot of press from what I remember.
No, he was talking to Tim Graham. That was about it. And he would go and do his social.
His social was...
It crossed my mind once.
The social stuff was... I mean, you know, usually I don't read the comments, but reading the comments when Juice would post something was kind of comical. Look, normally we'd be a little bit more respectful of a guy who's no longer with us.
No.
He's a legend. Bills legend. Unbelievable player for the Buffalo Bills. Not the greatest human being by all accounts. But, you know, portrayed in The People versus O.J. Simpson, or his friend Robert Kardashian, David Schwimmer, just Ross from Friends in every instance of the word juice.
As we're playing that, we have breaking news, Mike.
More breaking news in the sports bar.
Ow! It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Oh, the wind might be blowing out. And regularly, Mike Danger, Michael Bush with a home run, and we're now tied at 1. Cubs
Bush is like the only guy that's hitting for this team. It's you know, I need to see more from the Cubs than just Michael Bush. But yeah, they got a single there with no outs. Horner's on base now, so tie game in the first inning between the Cubs and the Brewers. And I'm gonna do my best here to stay focused and not distracted for the remainder of the show, Gino.
I think if the Yankees win tonight, think about what is coming up. You will have Eagles-Giants tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't talk about this. So Brian Daboll was asked, and this was from their media day, you know, tell us what you see about the – well, A.J. Brown, from the looks of it, he's getting open downfield.
Ooh. Okay.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, wow, Daboll. That's some gamesmanship there.
All right.
Yeah, I think the Eagles coming off a loss. It's not a good spot against the rookie quarterback on a short week, right?
It's a tough one for me because we talked to Michael LaFlorio from NFL Network about fantasy football, somebody that did invest in A.J. Brown and has been largely disappointed and is actually winless on the team where I have A.J. Brown, I still can't put him to the bench. I still can't say A.J. Brown has disappointed me so much that I need to bench him in favor of, I don't know, Wan'Dale Robinson as an example.
Okay, so for the Eagles, does A.J. Brown, before November 4th, work his way out of Philadelphia? Even though they're winning and they're a Super Bowl champion, but he's not involved here, and he's thinking about his future, next contract.
Do it.
Colts.
No, that's not what I'm thinking of.
I'm thinking that might be a coordinator and a head coach. Would be like,
Bean, do it. Do it. Do it. Go get him. If there's a chance that you can get somebody like A.J. Brown at the trade deadline, go.
would you do it straight up for Keon Coleman?
Ooh. No.
Look, well,
Howie Roseman's not doing that.
Okay.
That's the problem. You're dealing with Howie Roseman, who ultimately is going to get his. Like, the guy doesn't miss very often.
Okay, so like somebody like that, if A.J. Brown were to come to Buffalo, that's the Keon Coleman route tree he would be running, right? It's not Shakir.
He's not the same player as Keon Coleman. They're not the same. You can't compare the two. One is a freak, and the other is Keon Coleman.
Well, I think Keon Coleman was drafted in the hopes that, hey, you could become this sort of player.
I would love to say that that's possible, but just look at them side by side and tell me how that's possible. I don't know that, maybe Keon grows into that role, but A.J. Brown has kind of always been that. From the moment he was drafted by Tennessee, he was that freak athlete.
There's a problem here with Keon Coleman, meaning you got to go out of your way to undress a player like that. If it's being late for a meeting or whatever it is, like, I haven't heard the McDermott counterpoint. Like, is that really good? Do you need to kind of do that? Maybe he's suspended and you keep it within the team and you just say coach's decision. And nobody would say otherwise. But you've put a spotlight by saying, hey, that was a suspend. McDermott sometimes doesn't turn the other cheek. We saw this with Diggs.
Yeah, I think this is his management style, how he wants to manage these guys, grow these players, develop these players. It's tough love. And ultimately, what did it cost? Keon Coleman didn't get the start. Boo-hoo. It wasn't a great game. He scored a touchdown, but it wasn't a great game for Keon Coleman. And McDermott's not wrong when he says we expect more.
It's a public humiliation is what it is.
Right.
Like, now, and the storyline by doing this, Danger, what's going to happen tomorrow? Everybody's going to go over to Keon Coleman. Hey, Keon, what are you saying? And maybe Keon declines to talk tomorrow.
Maybe he does a pantomime.
Yeah.
We'll see. We got to get to a round of shots next on The Fan.
Yeah, we got more baseball news and notes to talk about, including what happened last night in the Bronx. Who was actually in the Bronx last night? One of Rochester's own stepping away. We'll explain that. Oh, yeah, I guess we got to talk about the other professional team that is starting up here. And, the clouds around Bill Belichick. Yeah, we've got to explore this, Danger.
Okay, we'll get to that and more next. A round of shots on the way. And don't forget about last call before 6 o'clock, when you can have the final word in the sports bar. Our number is 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. Sports Update.
On the Major League scoreboard, Tigers are up on the Mariners 5-3. They are in the sixth. The Cubs, thanks to a Michael Busch home run, they have tied the Brewers 1-1 as they are still in the first inning. Now, coming up a little later tonight, it's the Phillies looking to stay alive against the Dodgers. Bryce Harper says it's very simple.
Got to go 1-0. Each day, got to go 1-0. I've seen it multiple times in multiple series and multiple sports. It happened. Obviously, that's a great team over there, and they're going to do everything they can in their power to win and win at home. But we just got to go 1-0 and have some fun tonight, smile, laugh, enjoy the moment.
Of course, you've got the Yankees and Blue Jays tonight. Game 4 in the Bronx. Yankees need this one. Cam Schlitter going to the mound for the Pinstripes. It's a bullpen game for Toronto. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Got a smart speaker at home? Listen to the sports leader, The Fan Rochester at home, by asking it to play 95.7 The Fan.
It's a fun afternoon in the sports bar. If you missed our guest appearances from Elena Getzenberg of ESPN or PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetMGM network, you can find us wherever you get your shows. Search out the sports bar. That includes Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you're a podcast listener, you'll find all of our guest appearances there.
Yeah, it's been a great week for Bad Bunny, Danger, the popular artist from Puerto Rico.
Couple of weeks.
Yeah, like he was named, of course, as the Super Bowl halftime performer. And then last night in the Bronx, he's sitting behind home plate. He catches a foul ball.
Oh.
Technically, he didn't catch it. It bounced off of someone else and deflected to him, but he kept it, and there he was, getting a little pub in New York last night.
And again, I feel like we keep talking about, there are NFL fans that are just outraged at the Bad Bunny announcement, and I'll continue to say, it's not for you. It's just not. If you're upset about it, then it's not for you. Bad Bunny was the host at SNL this last weekend. Where's the outrage on that? Is anybody outraged that he was hosting Saturday Night Live?
No, I think it's just kind of one of these, if you want to stir the pot in terms of a culture war, this is what you do. You're picking your spot.
Yeah.
That's all I see it as.
Yeah, well, good for him.
Yeah.
Taking in the Yankees game with good seats behind home plate, and 2, catching a foul ball. Something I've never been able to do at a baseball game. Never caught a stray.
Nope.
No.
Same. But I think in this day and age, if there's a kid around you, you have to give it to the kid.
You give it to the kid. It's not for you anymore. It's for the kid.
No.
Do the right thing.
Karen. Yeah, the Phillies, Karen. Rochester's Ryan Callahan let everyone know that he's put his broadcast career on pause.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, the former New York Ranger on X, quote, "For those asking, I'm going to take a step away from ESPN this year. It's been a great 4 years with the worldwide leader in sports. I'm going to miss working with great people, but I wanted to spend more time with my young family. Excited to tune in."
Okay.
At least he said he was tuning in last night, unlike others. 8 more teams opening their season tonight. Doubleheader on TNT as the Bruins and Capitals, followed by LA in Vegas.
I guess I didn't really put 2 and 2 together there, but I did notice TJ Oshie was on the studio next to Mess and Steve Levy. And my initial thought, TJ Oshie, the pride of Warroad, Minnesota. So good for him that he's got a broadcasting career after his time in the NHL. But putting Oshie in the studio next to Levy and Messier really makes Levy and Messier look old.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong for saying that, forgive me. But
no, Levy looks. Yeah, it does. We're not used to Levy in a studio role. I think of him as a great play-by-play guy. And for Callahan, it was a couple years ago. I'm at a restaurant on West Ridge Road, and just get ready to meet a client. I look over and talk about the young family. He's having lunch with his family in this restaurant. Nobody's bothering him. Nobody even knows who he is.
How great is that?
Yeah.
So enjoy your time, man. For sure.
Yeah, it's the perfect mark. I'm glad that he chose to keep Rochester as home. Speaking of LA and Vegas tonight, story about them. Jack Eichel gets a new deal today. 8 years, an extension, carries a $13.5 million average annual value. Eichel's still only 28 years old.
So I'm just going to check my notes here. That's more per year than what McDavid is making in Edmonton.
Which, if I'm the Players Association with McDavid, why aren't you screaming murder? Why? If you get to the Tom Brady, I want to win another. They haven't won anything in Edmonton. Is it because everything is so tilted toward Canada that the Canadian NHL media is just turning a blind eye to this. This guy took a stupid deal.
Well,
it really is dumb.
There might be reasons that we're not aware of. His wife might really like Edmonton and doesn't want to leave, which is the opposite of what happened with Gretzky, right? We all remember Gretzky going to L.A. because his girlfriend or wife at the time, and Janet, wanted to be in L.A., and he wanted to support that.
Okay, well, that's fine. You didn't need to sign the deal then. You're just you just did this because, okay, I don't want to talk about this right now and just get it out of the way.
But if you're McDavid, though, your best chance to win a Stanley Cup still resides in Edmonton.
This is it, basically.
Yeah.
Like, he's saying, all right, I want a clean conscience when I leave. I'm giving you 2 more years.
Yep.
That's it. And then he will go somewhere else, and he'll be the biggest paid NHL player of all time.
You would think.
You would think.
After maybe winning a cup in Edmonton. Like, I want a cup for you guys. What more do you want? I'm going to greener pastures, and I'm going to make more money.
Mike Danger, can we have the breaking news sounder, please?
You got it, buddy.
Ow! 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 It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
First in Detroit, Tigers have now scored 8 unanswered. 4 more in the 6th, tacking on another in the 7th. 8-3. They lead the Mariners, so that is looking like that is going to be a game. I've got to check this. I don't think it will be tomorrow night. I think that would be Friday night, Seattle and Detroit.
They go back to Seattle for Game 5,
Yeah, we're
right?
going to get a Game 5, so I don't think they're going to put it back-to-back on that. And meanwhile, good for your Cubs. Did they just knock out Priester?
Priester's out.
Priester's out? He didn't even make it the second?
Didn't make it out of the first.
Okay, so have we gotten stupid with baseball? Like, it's just like it's all it is just like relievers for one inning here, one inning.
Yeah.
Nick Mears. Who the hell is Nick Mears?
Stop the bleeding, because it could get really bad, and they tagged him. I mean, they absolutely tagged him. He couldn't get out of the first inning.
3-1, and they're still in the bottom of the first. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So see, this is the karma.
Good. It's good karma.
You can't watch tonight.
The part that I'm watching, they're not disappointing me. I'm not disappointed by what I've seen. I was disappointed at the top of the first because it was just stupid fielding error. But aside from that, yeah, can't be mad at 3-1 in the bottom of the first and knocking out the starting pitcher. He doesn't even get to the second inning.
Back to hockey. For what it's worth, a season prediction from ESPN's Greg Wyshynski on the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, they're missing the playoffs.
Oh, no. Come on.
I think it's the way he phrases this is funny and accurate. Tell me if you disagree. The Sabres are easily the most confounding team in the Atlantic this season. They've regressed in the standings in consecutive seasons. Health seems to always be a concern, never more so when Josh Norris is being relied on as a critical center. The goaltending is more fingers crossed than Vezina Trophy worthy. No lies there. Sabres tomorrow night against the Rangers here on the Fan.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
No.
Yeah!
I need to see it early season. If they go 0-2, 0-3, forget it.
I have a feeling. Why are things going to change?
What's changing?
What is changing? What has changed? The only thing that's changed is that you've hired your next GM for running start.
Jarmo.
I think Jarmo Kekalainen being kind of like looking over the shoulder of Kevin Adams, which I just ask the question, okay, why didn't you make this move in the first place? This is where Terry Pickleton maybe is loyal to fall for whatever reason when it comes to Kevin Adams. If you like Kevin Adams that much, give him some BS advisory role, keep him on the payroll, and make him go away. Sorry.
Sabres tomorrow, but listen anyways.
It's back on August 24th, Danger, that Hulu and North Carolina University announcing a new series coming up, detailing the first year of Bill Belichick at the school.
Remember this, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember they were supposed to be Hard Knocks. It was supposed to be Hard Knocks, Bill Belichick.
That project has now been left for dead. It wasn't Hulu who killed the deal. Perhaps maybe there's some self-awareness here from the Tar Heels that this season isn't going to turn around. At least the team won't lose this week. They are off UNC. Their next game Friday the 17th at Cal.
So what's happening with North Carolina this week while they're on their bye? There are reports out of Carolina that there's discussions of a potential exit strategy for Bill Belichick as recently as this morning. Doesn't mean that he's going to be fired, but there are some preliminary conversations about the possibility. Reportedly, the goal is to eliminate or minimize the buyout associated with Belichick's contract. And there are some accounts of potential rules violations within the program already. So if you're going to move on from him with cause, you could look at those rules violations as reason to do just that, and maybe that eliminates or minimizes the buyout. I guess my question is, when North Carolina comes to the Dome on Halloween, yes or no, Bill Belichick is the head coach of the Tar Heels?
Does it come down to beating Cal? Cal, okay, mind you, we had that story over the summer that literally their president was putting out fielders, should we shut down the football program? In a power conference in the ACC, should we shut this down? Granted, they're misplaced, and Cal football isn't very good. You lose to Cal? Yeah, this wouldn't warrant, okay, maybe this was a mistake, but usually you get more than 1 year. And I think it's also kind of telling that if there is one guy that he acts like a mobster, Michael Lombardi. We had Michael Lombardi on the show. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He was an Odyssey insider years ago.
Yeah.
And he, former Browns GM, former Patriots front office guy. He's always been connected to Belichick, and he's now the North Carolina GM. He puts out a letter to the donors saying, hey, this is a rebuild. We need some time, basically. Okay. You're embarrassing yourself. When you have this local, and it spells it out from WRAL in Carolina there, basically spelling out how dysfunctional this team is, how bad this locker room is, how Belichick won't talk to any parents. Not that you need to, but it is college after all. You're dealing with a different athlete. How the guys that they brought in don't jive with the guys that are actually there. They are an embarrassment right now.
Zero self-awareness.
Correct.
Zero self-awareness. It's the dog meme in the burning room saying, this is fine. I'm completely comfortable with my situation right now. Belichick, it wouldn't shock me if our hopes of seeing Belichick on the sideline at Syracuse are dashed and he's not the coach come Halloween. The pitchforks are out, and they're plotting and scheming ways. I believe the reports that they're plotting and scheming ways to get rid of Bill Belichick, to get out from under Bill Belichick. Maybe this was the plan all along. Isn't his son on the staff? Would he step up and take an interim role?
Well, you can't do that.
No. You clean house with and leave who behind? Who? If you clean house, who's left? I mean, it's all his Goombas.
I think you hold your nose.
Ugh.
You're giving yourself. Will he be there in Syracuse? I hope so. It's wrong to root against people and root for them to fail. But this is an exception.
Yeah, I don't want to see anybody lose their job, but Bill Belichick, come on, man. You did this to yourself. This isn't anything that, no sympathy.
Some storylines I get tired of, and you may get tired of. I don't think the public has gotten tired of, and certainly I haven't. How does a 73-year-old man get addicted to a 24-year-old the way Belichick?
The child bride. It's a great question.
Lolita.
Yeah.
Does she leave him? I mean, if he's not a head coach anywhere and he's ready to kind of just go off into retirement, is she just going to ride a bike on Nantucket for the rest of his living years? I don't think so.
She just gets half. Bill, give her half right now. Maybe then you can start winning some games. I don't know. Fun show this afternoon. Appreciate you joining us here on the Sports Bar. If you missed Elena Getzenberger, PJ Glasser, find us wherever you get your shows. Search out the Sports Bar at Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Tomorrow, we have a sports station, Odyssey Sports Sister Station in Atlanta. Mike Johnson from the morning shift at 92.9 The Game will be joining us at 3:25. And we'll also talk some fantasy football as Week 6 gets underway with Andy Behrens of the Deep Shot. That's at 4:25. JR Sport Brief is next. Thanks for listening. The Fan, Rochester.